what do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! Oh! My God! No!
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, everywhere. Whatever you're doing, however you're doing it, and whomever you're doing it with, welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy to see you here. I hope everybody's having an amazingly wonderful day. And the fact that you can't see me is an interesting thing. Here we go again. We had this happen before. Hang on, I'll be right back. This is lovely. Hang on. All right, let's see. I think I'm back. Now I just have to wait to see if I'm back. Yeah, I know the screen was black, Mimi. That's just kind of how life goes. Let's see if am I back yet? I am back. Yay, yay me, I'm back. Whatever that was. Huh. All right. Well, hi, folks. It's me again. Whatevs. No, that happened the other day. No idea why it happened the other day. No idea why it happened again today, but I do know the solution. Just leave the studio and come back again. Simple. No sweat. So, all right, what's going on? A little bit later, as soon as she wakes up and gets herself all situated to get here, we will have Chandler Remington. She was here yesterday. You guys seem to like her. So Chandler Remington will be our guest for the evening today. You can say that one is night here and morning there. Currently, it is 11:03 p.m. in dark and kind of cold South Korea today. So it says dressing in line with your Scottish ancestry for a change day. This is all Irish. This is all from the Iron sweater market in Ireland. The cap and the hand knitted sweater, all from Ireland. Anywho, hey. If you're listening, Aaron Sweater Market in Ireland, I think you should sponsor me and give me some amazing knitted and hand knitted wool stuff. I love your blankets, by the way. All right, now that my grift for a grift thing is out of the way, welcome. Mods, thank you so much for being here. I see that Flux, who was absent yesterday due to being extraordinarily ill, but she seemed to have found her legs by the time Megan Fox's show was on the air yesterday. Welcome, Flux. It's good to have you here. It's always sad when you're not here. Because you are the grift queen. We all know that. welcome, the queen of the grift, Flux. Other mods, welcome too. Great to have you here. And chat, we could not do this without you. The chat is the greatest chat on the entire internet platform. Not just YouTube, the entire internet, because the Vice Squad rocks. Gosh, let's get into this. What are we doing here? As you watched yesterday, you guys really, really hated the delayed trial. I thought, hey, maybe it'd be more interesting for people if we cut out all of the financial stuff, all the stuff that is, as far as I'm concerned, absolutely irrelevant to this. And then we streamlined the rest of it by skipping all the lunch breaks, skipping all the other breaks, and doing the trial at 1.5 or 1.25 or even 2. Whenever the judge talks, you can bump it up to 2.0, and then it sounds like a normal conversation. I thought that would be great, but you all hated it, and you have spoken. So here's what's going to happen. Today, we're going to go through this. We're going to go through to the lunch hour, come hell or high water. Chandler Remington and I, we will get you through to the lunch hour, at which time we'll probably dump you into Ricardo's stream. And then this trial to me is dead and done until the prosecution rests their case. I just cannot do this. I signed up for 3 weeks of this trial. I could have gone. This trial was supposed to be over on Friday, the day after tomorrow. This trial was supposed to be done. And it's going to be 2 or 3 more weeks before the prosecution rests. This trial could very, very easily go another month. And I ain't having that. There's 2 things that are going to happen. And it all depends what we watch from here on out. If the prosecution rests their case before March 6th, I will watch until March 6th. At the March 6th mark, we are going full Taylor Shabusiness, people. Taylor Shabusiness, that is scheduled. It is almost virtually certain. It's almost virtually set in stone by the finger of God that trial will go on March 6th. I am all over that trial. So whenever the defense wants to pick up this case until March 6th, we're on that. From March 6th, we are going with Taylor Shabusiness. Yeah, Carlos Delfino, not chickening out. It's called a return on investment. I work 8 to 10 hours a day at the office. I come home. I got about 45 minutes sleep before I come here to do this. Then I stream till 4 o'clock in the morning, my time, 5 o'clock by the time I get to sleep. I get 3 hours. I wake up and go to work for really nothing. So, yep, that's it. I will be a guest. If somebody wants me on their channel, I'll be happy to be a guest. But how heartbroken would it be if that trial turns out to be that shit, that stuff too? I'm sorry, YouTube, not swearing. No, the Taylor Shabusiness trial is going to be awesome. It's going to be very, very interesting because we haven't done a guilty by reason of insanity trial yet. And that's what's going to be argued. Not necessarily that she didn't do it, because that boat has essentially sailed. It's going to focus on whether or not she had the mens rea to commit the crime. Was she aware at the time she committed the crime that what she was doing was in fact a crime? That's where, that's basically what we're going to be focusing on in that trial. So that should be really, really fascinating. I don't imagine it's going to go more than a week, maybe 2, but I think it'll be a pretty quick case. So that's what's going to be happening. It's just going to be your regular law racks, regular legal vices stuff until the defense rests. Until the prosecution rests. Then we'll pick up the defense case until March 6th, assuming that the prosecution rests before March 6th, and they may not. Keep that in mind. They may not rest before March 6th. But until then, tomorrow is going to be O.J. Simpson Day. It's Thursday. I apologize for not doing O.J. Simpson last week. I should have done it. But yeah, O.J. Simpson is coming up tomorrow night. And then Friday, I've got things to do Friday night here. So I will be doing my Friday stream on Friday evening U.S. time, like we did the F at Friday last week. It's not going to be an F at Friday stream. It's not planned to be an F at Friday stream. If it turns into one, hey, that's out of my control. But it's just going to be a chill stream. We're going to be we're going to be updating on some of the cases. We'll be talking about a couple of other interesting cases, and then hopefully we'll be able to have some guests on here that I've got in mind just to sit, chill, and talk about things until everybody's ready to quit. So that's what's going to be coming up this week. Maritime Monday next week, and I haven't thought that far in advance what we'll do next Tuesday, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. Now, all right, with this trial, we have to kick off here with one super chat. Eva Torres kicking us off with the first super chat of the evening. Thank you for taking the hit for us on this trial. Chandler is great. Thank you for having her on. I think Handler is wonderful. Chandler is wonderful. She was on a stream. Legal Mindset had her on first on his afternoon session, and she was super fun to hang out with. And we're just doing fun. Legally Dirty Blonde. She's also always invited. She actually works in the morning like I do. And has so if she ever has time, she's got the link to the DM, so she can just say, hey, I'm here, let me on, and she's on. That's how we're going to proceed with this. This will be the last stream of this trial until the prosecution rests. I'm just done. I'm just done. Now, see, Jason J says, never underestimate the slow-ass justice system here in Wisconsin. Seriously, they moved slower than the South Carolina judge speaks. I live in Wisconsin. This judge in the Shabusiness case, she's been great. He's been great. Sorry, I didn't mean to call her him a she. I don't know. What's a woman? I'm even less. Oh, and no, I was going to get political for a minute, but I'm not going to. This judge, he's had enough. The state keeps trying to delay to have her have another medical examination, look at more documents. And the judge in the Taylor's business case is essentially saying, you've had a lot of time. You've had a lot of time to look at the documents. You've had a lot of time to do this. The delays, that's your problem. She's already had 4 examinations. Anything else that she hasn't done, that's on you guys. It's going forward. This is the second time he's refused to move the trial ahead to a new date. He's sticking with March 6th. So boom, done. So that I don't have any idea what happened in the MURDAUGH case yesterday because I didn't watch it because I thought you all would like to do this, the next day, just speed it up a little bit version. But God, you guys hated me. So done. So I have no idea what happened yesterday. And apparently absolutely nothing happened yesterday because Law and Cuck and Court TV, neither one of them have their usual, day in review up yet. I was going to watch their day in review to figure out what happened yesterday, but it's not there. They haven't shown it yet. And right now it's the Law and Crime. They have the court camera on. They're showing some of the stuff from yesterday. Ronnie Crosby, who is the partner of the defendant's law firm, they're showing his testimony about misappropriating funds. JKD Buck 76 says she business dismembered and ate her boyfriend, left his head in a bucket for his mom. Are you suggesting she didn't eat her boyfriend? She just used that bit of him to pleasure herself. And I mean, it's just in a couple of weeks, we'll go back through the criminal complaint and we'll see if we get demonetized as quickly as we did last time I went through the complaint. Yeah. So 2 days ago was the gunshot residue lady that was inside the raincoat. It was everywhere, but we don't know when it got there. But there is one interesting thing that's coming up, and I wanted to look at that. If you all know the story, he paid his friend, client, and cousin, Chris Eddie Smith, to delete him. His insurance, his life insurance, of which Buster was a beneficiary, had a self-deletion clause. And so if your insurance policy has a self-deletion clause, you take out a big, in his case, apparently a $10 million insurance policy, and then you delete yourself. They say, sorry, it's clear you just took out the policy because you wanted to delete yourself. We're not paying. So if someone else deletes him, then the payout goes to his son. So he pays Eddie, and I don't know how he got the nickname Eddie. I'm sure we'll find out, but his name is Curtis Smith. Eddie is his nickname. So Eddie Smith, he calls him and says, hey, I need you to delete me. I can't remember how much he paid him to do it, but it was some stupid amount, like stupidly low amount. And the idea was he was going on the side of the road. We've heard the 911 call earlier. We'll probably play it again. The idea was he was going to go out and be like changing a tire on his car, and some guy would drive up and blam in the back of the head and take him out. Well, Eddie was the one that he chose to do the job. Eddie shows up. Eddie goes, blam. Oh, crap, I missed. Well, not really missed. I grazed your head a bit. Sorry. And didn't take him out. Just sort of grazed his head with the bullet. And then MURDAUGH had to make a 911 call and explain that someone had tried to kill him on the side of the road, but just grazed his head. And this whole plot quickly fell apart. They found out what happened, and both of them admitted to doing this. Eddie admitted it. MURDAUGH admitted to it. And that was the deal. He wanted, because of all this, and this was post murder of his wife and children. Whoever may have done that. We're not sure who did that, but this was after that. And so I guess he's like, all right, get rid of me, and then at least my son Buster can have $10 million. Yeah. Colterri says, why not shoot twice? Double tap, man. You got to go with the double tap. He didn't go for the double tap. But the interesting thing was, reportedly, he had taken this insurance out more than 10 years ago. I mean, more than 2 years ago. A lot longer than 2 years ago, reportedly. Why is that significant? Reportedly, which is kind of a standard thing, reportedly his life insurance had a 2-year self-deletion clause, which means that if you self-delete after the expiration of that 2-year clause, then the insurance will still pay out. So if all of this is actually what happened, then more than 2 years after the insurance policy is out, he hires cousin Curtis to delete himself when he didn't have to. He could have deleted himself and kept cousin Kurt out of this. But yeah, it's like stupidity upon stupidity upon stupidity. That's why I sort of question whether he really had the wherewithal to commit these 2 crimes he's charged with. And yet, so Lena says, did he ask Eddie because he was too wimpy to delete himself? That is the only thing that makes sense. I'm sure. I hope he's read his insurance policy. He's a lawyer. But anyhow, why are we talking about this? Why is it significant? Because the prosecution has subpoenaed Curtis Eddie Smith to the stand. Eddie is supposed to be testifying in this. And Court TV has a little bit about what will Curtis Eddie Smith say on the stand. Let's see what Vinny has to say.
What's going on? I got a flat tire, and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me. And when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me.
So here's what
investigators and
prosecutors believe really happened here on the side of the road, is that it was some sort of a setup for a staged suicide, so Alec Murdaugh would be killed and leave $10 million to his surviving son, Buster.
How nice
How
of
do they
him.
say he did it? They say that he had help from someone else. Curtis Eddie Smith, also known as Cousin Eddie, who was on the witness list. Cousin Eddie followed Alec Murdaugh here, and he was the one who fired the weapon that struck Alec Murdaugh.
He sort of looks like Cousin It from the Addams Family. Little bit of a hairy gent there. And just from what we've seen with the mask and the hair, does this look like the guy you want to trust with taking you out? Yeah. Cousin Eddie Smith sounds like a witness protection name. Go get those papers every morning in the burbs. This guy would seem to stand out in the burbs.
In the head, but didn't kill him.
Oops.
Now, Murdaugh and Smith both allegedly admitted to all of this to investigators, saying that it was about the money, the $10 million for Buster Murdaugh to collect. Does it make sense? Is that what really happened here? Or
of course it makes sense. Have you not been paying attention to this trial, Vinny? This is like the thing that makes the most sense about this trial. This is literally the only thing that I've heard in 2.5 weeks of testimony that makes sense. And for those of you that watched the F It Friday stream last weekend and enjoyed me and my 28 shots that I did during that particular stream, and by the way, $100 super chats gets you a shot of whiskey. I always do a week sober after that just to check things, but screw that, man. There's no way I'm going in today with a 0.0 BAC. So we're breaking open the Thai rum in honor of legal in honor of legal mindset. Andrew, who is not with us today but is in Thailand, we're breaking open the Sangsum Thai rum. This is actually a really, really good rum, and you can drink a ton of it and not have a hangover the next day. So in tribute and honor to Legal Mindset, who's not here with us, we are having some Thai rum and Coke today. But it has this stupid safety pour where it takes like an hour to pour it out. So, all right. Yeah, we got to go. We got to go with the booze tonight. I'm sorry, liver. I owe you one. I owe my liver a break. So, all right. The greatest stirring instrument known to man. Let's get back to Court TV here and see what's up with Cousin Eddie.
Wasn't an attempt by Alec Murdaugh to once again look like the victim of something, like his wife and son were the victim of something, that someone was out to get the Murdaughs.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I think for this jury, they've got to try to figure all of that out. And what the key to all of it may be is the testimony of Cousin Eddie if and when he takes the stand and tells the jury.
Let's get that up there. Here we go.
What happened here on the side of the road?
That's the side of the road where it all went down.
What happened on the side of the road? Bizarre part of this story. Probably the most bizarre. Let's bring back in Stanley Payne.
This is the least bizarre thing that's happened. I don't care what anybody says. This is the least bizarre. This is the thing that fits more than anything else.
Matt Harris, Joseph Scott Morgan, who are with us. Chandler, I want to start with you. The judge today, this came up in court, right?
Chanley.
It did come up in court. The prosecutor wanted to continue the hearing outside the jurors' presence, but they were expected to be back. So the judge put a pause on that, but he wants to hear testimony surrounding the roadside shooting and whether or not the jury will be able to hear about it sometime this week. We know that Curtis Eddie Smith is subpoenaed to testify for prosecutors.
Yes.
And we expect him to take the stand sometime this week. Now, with
today,
all the
please do it this
financial testimony
morning.
coming in, it may delay
Please do it this morning.
Curtis Eddie Smith being here, but he'll be transported here, maybe stay at the jail, brought into this courtroom, and it'll be huge. You know, when he testifies, what he will say. Fitz News even reporting that on that roadside, Vinny, that Curtis Eddie Smith alleges Alec Murdaugh confessed to him. So we'll see.
Well, that would be an interesting development if Cousin Eddie testifies that Murdaugh confessed to the murder of his wife and child on the roadside. Why he would testify on the roadside after being shot in the head, I don't know. But stranger things have happened. But even if he takes the stand and testifies that Alex did confess to him, I would expect Dick Poon to just take him to the woodshed during cross-examination. Testifying to get a better deal, trying to get early release. He's got a motivation for testifying and for lying under oath. He's convicted of a crime. I would expect Dick Poon to just rake him over the coals if he gives testimony. We'll just have to see.
Wow, that would be. All right, Justice Scott Morgan, how difficult he gets grazed by a bullet in the side of the head, he's bleeding. Like if it's an attempted suicide and they didn't succeed, or they're just trying to make it look like someone's out to get him, how difficult is it to shoot someone in the head and purposely not kill them?
It's not very difficult at all. As a matter of fact, Cousin Eddie is in fact compelling, but for me, as a forensics guy, I would absolutely love to have the attending physician that treated him that day testify in this case, because he did sustain what's referred to as a fracture of his parietal area of his skull. And if you'll just kind of put your hand up here above your ear and to the rear right here, that's the parietal bone, kind of extends up here behind the temporal bone. And that can be brought about as a result of this kind of concussive blast. So you'll have a graze that's right through here. But here's the key, Vin, and something you need to keep your eyes on, is that you're not going to accomplish this from a great distance. So if the weapon is applied kind of to the side of the head like this, as opposed to straight on like someone that was intending to take their life, you'll still have a powder deposition right here. And you'll get kind of a burning in this area. The skin will have kind of a, not charred, but almost bacon-like quality to it as the round travels rearward. And we still don't know the direction of the round. Was it from the rear to the front or from the front to the rear? And again,
always go front to back.
To kind of talk
always go front to back.
It would probably behoove the prosecution to get those files into the hand of a forensic pathologist, because they do living forensic pathology, and have them take a look at it, give an assessment. Let's hear about it.
All right, Matt.
All right, interesting.
Cousin Eddie.
Talk to us.
He's going to have a credibility problem.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
The stand, because his story has changed multiple times throughout this whole thing. At one point, he didn't shoot him, and then there was a tussle, and he did shoot him, and he threw out the gun into one of the rivers and the many overpasses that are in that area. So his story has been kind of going back and forth. And then when he was in custody not too long ago, he talked about this story about Maggie having an affair, and Alec walked in, and that's how that happened. So that issue is going to be a problem for the state. And so I think they're going to want to make sure that they need him. And he's got something really important to say, because on cross, I think they'd be licking their chops to get
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If he does testify, especially if he testifies that there was a confession, Dick Poon is going to eat him for lunch. He doesn't look like the sharpest tool in the shed. Oh, wait, I forgot. We have to mix our metaphors here. He doesn't look like the sharpest tool in the belfry here. Seriously, Eric Folmes, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking exactly the same thing. You are old school, brah. I was thinking he looks like Terry Funk. He does. I was literally thinking the same thing. Yes, he does look like Terry Funk. So, yeah, you're old.
So, Chandler, any idea when we're going to find out if Cousin Eddie is going to take the stand and if he's going to talk about the roadside shooting?
Yeah, any day now. We were expecting possibly Wednesday, but we may hear from financial witnesses first. But he is a part of the financial witnesses. Remember, his name was mentioned by the forensic bank examiner because Alec Murdaugh was sending him check after check after check. I believe it's almost like $2.4 million, that stolen money from his law firm and his clients that he was, making out checks to Curtis Eddie Smith. So we may be hearing from him sooner than later, but it will be really dynamic when it does actually happen in the courtroom.
Great job, Chanley Painter in the Low Country tonight. Matt Harris, great to see you. Impact of Influence, and Mr. Body Bags, Joseph Scott Morgan.
All right, well, that's going to be the interesting thing. Eva, Jesus, you're beautiful, Chanley. Chanley is, that's why we like the courtroom shot, so we can play Spot the Chanley. We need to play Spot Well, see, now we've got Spot Chanley, we've got Spot DUI guy, and we've got Spot James from court. So, and I'm sure James and Larry will be sitting next to each other. So, those are our things today: Spot Chanley, Spot DUI guy, Spot James from court, and maybe we'll get lucky and we can have DUI guy or James from court in to tell us about the jury profiling they're doing. I hear that's a great thing that people like to hear about. No, we've had Andrew and I, we've had James from court on to talk about the courtroom things, to talk about, what the vibe in the courtroom is, what people are listening to, what they're not. And occasionally, what he thinks the jury's thinking. But anyway, we'll just have to see. Yeah. Nick's rant was pretty funny. Oh, shoot. Now Eric says, I can't wait for Terry Funk to take the stand. Oh, seriously. Funk. I thought I didn't even bring it up because I thought, I'm probably the only person in chat that knows who Terry Funk is. All right. We're still waiting here. Alex Murdaugh. All right. Let's bring the law and cuck thing up here. Just keep it here so we don't miss a beat. Let me bring up the screen. Boom. Right. Here we go. And while we're waiting for the court to start, we've got currently 356 viewers here. And guys, I really super hope you'll stick around here for the morning session. Go wherever the hell you want once lunchtime hits, but I hope you'll stick around here during the morning session. Double watch streams, whatever, but just stay here and keep on with the chat. Or you can pull a Gosney and be on Nick Ricada's panel, but still be involved with the chat here. Do things like that. Stick around. I think you'll like it. And we're waiting for Chanley. Damn it. We're not waiting for Chanley to be here. We're waiting for Chandler Remington. Chandler Remington will be here, she said, sometime around now. It's 6:30 a.m. where she is, so it's just ass early for her. And I know it's ass early for a lot of you here in chat. Len A says, I'm older than you. I know wrestlers going back to the 50s. Funk is still alive. Looks bad. Well, he does. I mean, talk about someone who's literally given his body and soul to wrestling. Oh no, I'm with you. My mother, she knew Gorgeous George from back in the day. I got into the wrestling scene in the early mid 80s. But anyway, this isn't a wrestling stream. We can talk wrestling on Friday. Don Box says you're waiting for Chandley. We're waiting for all the Chans. Chandler, Chandley, any Chan that wants in here can jump on. We know that Murdaugh is in the courthouse. Murdaugh was already here in the courthouse. Earlier on, you didn't see it, but about 30 minutes ago, they showed him getting out of the van and being walked in handcuffs into the courtroom. Right. Oh, don't forget, we have our like and subscribe poll up. Our like and subscribe today. Oh, dear. Our like and subscribe poll for today is I hit the like and subscribe buttons and do this. Again, we've got 200. Y'all are ahead of the game. Y'all take the poll without actually hitting the like or the subscribe button. Y'all are cheating. And by y'all, I mean y'all, not like one specific y'all. I mean like all y'all. See, I'm getting the South Carolina link. See, as we said yesterday, in Utah, y'all is plural. We say y'all occasionally, it's plural. But one of my friends from Virginia said there's y'all. She's like, when you say y'all, you're talking about y'all or y'all. So y'all can be singular or plural, and I'm using it in the plural sense here. Some of y'all are cheating. 278 likes and 300 of you now have taken the like and subscribe poll. Take the like, hit the like and subscribe button, then take the poll. I hit the like and subscribe buttons because they are the only things to like about this trial. The like button is the only thing to like about this trial. I hit the like and subscribe buttons because they are the only ray of hope that I can see. The third choice is I hit the like and subscribe buttons because they are approval for your awesome guest. It will be approval for my awesome guest as soon as my awesome guest gets here. And the final choice, I hit the like and subscribe buttons because they're grounds. Take the like and subscribe poll after you hit the subscribe button, and then we'll come back and address it later. Interesting. I have two windows up. Why do I have two windows up? Let me get rid of one of them. All right, there we go. Now we're all back with you. And as you notice, we're not buffering today because I reset my modem like I've been meaning to do for the last week, my main router for my house. And we've got a couple more super chats to burn through here. Scrolling up. I didn't mark them all in time, or did I? First of all, we have, you should go and do actual wrestling. This isn't super chat, but I want to read anyway. The Lorax would be a great heel. There was actually a time here in my life early on in my stay in Korea that I actually toyed with the idea of going into professional wrestling as a side gig here. But I found out very, very quickly that Korea takes their professional wrestling very seriously, like on the same level that Japan does. And when we were talking about Terry Funk his body just being absolutely trashed, that's because of his time wrestling in Japan. I thought, yep, not for me. So that particular part of my life ended quickly. Southern Brainwater says, Wisconsin is all sorts of crazy. That's why I'm in Florida now. Someone in the water up there. I hope it's something in the water, not someone in the water. But now saying you're in Florida because Wisconsin is crazy. Yeah, like Florida. Note to self, never touch that button again. I was trying to change the view here and I failed miserably. That was funny. All right, here. Let's try this again. I was trying to do this. All right. We have one more super chat. Let's get to this final super chat before the judge starts speaking in slow motion. Our last chat was 11:31. 11:31 my time. Gotta scroll back about 3 minutes here to get it. The Z-Man says, did you cover what happened yesterday? And I was born in 92, and I know Terry Funk. Well, that's because you are an awesome diehard classic wrestling fan. I did not cover what happened yesterday because I don't know what happened yesterday. And apparently the answer is nothing because, as I said just a brief minute ago, neither Law and Cuck nor Court TV have put up their summary from what happened yesterday. All I know is there was supposed to be some big reveal, some big piece of evidence, but it never occurred. And speaking of big deals and amazing pieces of evidence, we have Chandler Remington.
Hey, everybody.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm going to embiggen you here until the court starts talking.
Oh, fancy.
Good morning. It's ass early there, and we deeply appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Audio is 473% better than it was yesterday. There's no
Is
click
it?
buzzing on your audio, so
That's fabulous. I'm so happy
to
to
hear you, and everything looks great.
That's great. Oh my God, I'm so happy my audio is better. I was worried about that.
Nah,
My
looks
fears are
fantastic.
assuaged. Okay.
And for someone who is getting here at 6:36 in the morning, you look fantastic as well.
I appreciate that. You look good as well.
Well, it's winding down the end of the day here. I'm wearing my comfortable clothes today because it was a day. I had a day at the office.
You had a day.
Oh, yeah. And I let out some of the frustration of this trial on a particular underling in the office today.
Well,
a junior lawyer who was helping and actually ended up increasing my workload by about 300%.
sounds like that particular underling might have deserved it. So
I think so, but
I support you.
Being an offspring of the boss was, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of a theme in this trial too, right? Like nepotism, etc.
Yeah, but I let the underling have it. My day went to absolute shit, and it was stress, and I've got to go in early tomorrow to deal with the stress. So I just needed my favorite. I've had this shirt for like 15 years. This is the one that's just like it's gonna fall off my body before I throw it away. Got my warm sweater.
Thank you. Good morning.
You look really cozy.
All right.
Day number 13.
Day number 13, getting underway.
Let's go. Let's do this.
Sorry. There we go. I don't know who we're cross-examining, but somebody's getting cross-examined.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is it Agent Fletcher or Miss Fletcher?
Miss Fletcher is fine.
Just Fletcher will do.
Technically, I am commissioned. However,
Okay.
I'm a forensic scientist.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Well, Ms. Fletcher,
It's the cross-examination of
sort
Meatloaf.
go over a little bit of what you testified about yesterday and hit some smaller points, but you pretty much, you said this yesterday, but gunshot primer residue is not biodegradable, correct?
No, sir. They're composed of heavy metals of lead, barium, and antimony. So they're individual particles of those metals. They are not biodegradable.
So if gunshot primer residue is on a surface, it will stay on that surface and will not degrade for hundreds of years.
Potentially, there's not studies that go out that far, but potentially.
Right. But the only way that current science knows to get primer gunshot residue off of anything is through cleaning, wiping it off, scrubbing it off.
That's a great way to start. That gunshot residue could have been on there for theoretically 100 years.
And it comes out when a gun is shot, right?
Yes, that's how gunshot primer residue is formed. It comes out through the muzzle and in a semi-automatic through the ejector port or through a revolver through the muzzle gap. So any opening within the gun, it'll come out.
Yeah,
Talking about openings and ejection ports, we could be in trouble with this stream already.
Will follow the projectile, whether it's pellets or a bullet, out the barrel of the gun, rifle, or pistol, will it not?
Yes, sir, it will.
And then if you have a semi-automatic rifle,
you 250 that are
shotgun,
sticking with us here this morning, that is awesome of you. Stick around. We're having fun.
We'll go follow the discharge cartridge or shell shot as it opens up, right?
Yes, sir. Studies have shown as far as about 60 feet. Beyond that, they haven't been studied.
Okay. So within 60 feet of a gun being shot, there will be gunshot primer residue on whatever's around there. Fair enough?
Whatever's around the bullet, per se. When it gets out that far, it's more in the immediate vicinity of the bullet.
But for sure, gunshot primer residue will accumulate on the firearm that's being used, will it not?
Yes, sir, it will.
And if it's not properly cleaned and maintained, I mean, it'll stay there until it gets wiped off by someone's hand or left out in the rain or sprayed off, right?
Yes, sir, it will.
Okay. And when you were referring to transfer GSR, is that one of the things you're referring to?
Yes, sir. If you touch a gun that had been fired at any point, then you have the potential to transfer it to your hands.
Now, this jury has seen throughout the course of the trial a number of folks holding up some firearms that are in evidence. A couple of shotguns
that have nothing to do with the murder.
And they've seen they've seen witnesses hold up. Mr. Meadows held up yesterday this blue rain jacket, which you had identified having 38 particles or more on it. My question to you is it very possible that where you're sitting right now, there's gunshot primer residue?
That is a possibility, yes, sir.
Now, you did some, you
Chandler,
work in
have you seen the movie Labyrinth?
Forensic Services Laboratory.
Yes, I have.
SLED, correct?
Tell me she's not Ludo, the
And-
big brown
and
furry guy.
There's a trace evidence operation manual
Oh, I
pertaining to
see it.
gunshot primer residue analysis,
Yeah.
correct?
Smell
Yes, sir,
bad.
Good.
That governs your,
Good eye.
you follow that manual, do you not?
Yes, I do.
Weirdo.
And you agree with the statement that gunshot primer residue evidence
Just needs the
is
fangs from the
most
bottom, but anyways.
probative in the
Sorry,
following
Don't
situation:
talk about people like that.
from subjects who have
I'm
not
fat, so I
sustained a
can talk about
gunshot wound, from subjects who
That's
have
how
not
it works,
been in the
for sure.
proximity to the discharge of a firearm or admitted to discharging a firearm, and from subjects who were not found in the possession of a firearm.
I do agree with that, yes, sir.
And that's a statement of the your operations manual.
Yes, sir, it is.
And you obtained clothing, which we know is from Richard Alexander Murdaugh, shirt, shorts, and shoes. And did someone under your supervision did lifts from those clothing items so that you could analyze the particles, correct?
Yes, sir. Jamie Hall collected the particle lifts off of those items.
And those and that collection was done on June 8th, I believe, was it not?
Yes, sir, it was.
And are you aware that the clothes were collected on June the 8th?
Yes, sir, I was.
And were you aware that when the clothes were collected, they were wet?
I didn't know that they were wet until Jamie opened up the evidence, and it was evident that the shirt was a little damp and the shoes were definitely damp.
So it's just been a few hours that they had been placed in some sort of bag, and you open it up and they're wet, and you smell laundry detergent.
That's correct.
Okay. Were you aware it had been raining that evening at Moselle?
I was not aware of that, no, sir.
The in any event, you tested after Ms. Hall, is that it, Jamie Hall?
Yes, sir.
I can see Melissa McCarthy.
And you located 3 particles from the white shirt.
Yes.
It's kinder than Ludo or
You
Meatloaf.
3 particles from
I'm
the
sorry.
shorts.
Yes,
No particles from the shoes.
yes.
And there was no particles on Mr. Murdaugh's
She's no
hands.
such as
There was
face,
Oh.
one particle on his right hand.
I'm sorry, there was 1 particle on his hand. And
One particle?
And you would agree that that amount of
One?
How big is a particle?
primer residue, gunshot primer residue found on an individual who you had
They're
been
ivory
informed
painted.
had a firearm in his hand when the police arrived, that it was consistent with the transfer from a firearm.
When I analyzed the evidence, I did not know that he had a firearm in his hand, but that would be consistent with somebody who had a firearm in his hand prior to collection.
Okay. Well, you learned that at least by June the 9th at 11:03 a.m. when you had a telephone call with Agent Owen, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you told him that that amount of gunshot residue would be consistent with the transfer from a firearm.
Yes, sir.
And you stand by that here today.
I do.
Now, the seatbelt assembly, let's talk about that for a minute. You test, well,
I
you
turned
did
chat into
lists, you
labyrinth
and Ms.
chat.
Hall or Agent Hall did lists of the buckle, is that right?
Yes, sir.
The latch plate, is that right?
Yes.
And then 3 spots along the belt, the webbing.
Yes, sir. 3 areas along the belt. We divided the belt into 3 sections and did both sides of it. And those were the 5 areas that we collected.
I see. So did you take lifts from the entire webbing?
Yes, sir. We retracted it as far as it would go, divided it into 3 sections
I see.
and collected them.
And the results of the lifts, and you did analysis, was there's 1 particle on the buckle, right?
That's correct.
0 on the latch plate,
Correct.
0 on the belt, on any of the sections of the belt.
That's correct.
So the whole belt was 0. And so they found 1 particle.
I confirmed 1 particle on the buckle. Yes, sir.
And you can't say how or when the particle was deposited on the belt, can you?
I cannot.
And I think you told this to Agent Owen that if Alec Murdaugh was shooting earlier in the day or anytime.
He testified he was shooting with his son that morning, if I recall correctly.
And he got, after shooting, he got in the vehicle that has the ability to transfer any gunshot residue primer to that vehicle, right?
Yes, sir. I cannot tell you when that particle was deposited.
So if he had had that vehicle for 2 years and he'd been out shooting and got in it.
That's not how the song goes, Dick
Deposited
Saucer.
1
I
particle.
think he got the lyrics a little bit wrong.
Buckle and it could stay there unless it got knocked off. Right?
Yeah, unless it
We're
was
at the
clean, it
creative
could have stayed
bit.
there. Yes, sir.
And if he went and got a gun and then put it in the car and then he got back in the car and he got transferred GSR on him and he could hit the buckle and that could put it on there, right?
Yes, sir. That could have happened.
It's just very, very small. You can't see it with a naked eye, but it stays there forever unless it's moved.
That's correct, sir. Yes, sir.
1 particle. This is good cross.
Now, you were also asked to
It is.
do an analysis of blue rain jacket. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir. I did.
And once again, just like the seatbelt, there's no way for you to know when the gunshot primer residue was deposited on the blue rain jacket.
That's correct.
It could be at any point in time from the date that blue rain jacket was manufactured, right?
Well, probably not on the manufacturer date unless they were firing
Right.
guns in the manufacturing plant, but any time after a consumer takes possession, probably.
So if a consumer took possession of that garment 4 years ago, and we're going to talk about how you can get gunshot primer residue on it, but unless it's cleaned off or washed off, it'll stay for 4 years.
It could, yes.
You have no idea how gunshot primer residue ended up on that garment, right?
I cannot tell you how it got there.
Or when it got there.
Chandler,
Or
is
when
she
it got there.
testifying from your house? Y'all got the same background. It's kind of
Or
freaking
whether
me
it was
out
being
here.
worn when it got there.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of like the
whether it's been
same
worn inside
color.
out when it was
Like
deposited
over in
on
the
there,
next
or
room.
Whether it was laid on top
Am
of.
I in South Carolina right
a gun,
now? Oh,
for
God.
I
Help
cannot
me.
tell you any of those scenarios.
So Mr. Randolph Murdaugh, are you aware that this rain jacket was found in a closet in September of 2021 at Mr. Randolph Murdaugh's home?
That was the information that was on the submission, yes.
And he died, I think, on June 10th, 2021. Were you aware of that?
I remember hearing news about it.
But if he, before he got into his truck, had taken off this poncho and flipped it over and threw it on the back seat of his truck where he kept his shotgun bow whoop, and it laid on top of this dirty old shotgun, it could have deposited 38 particles of gunshot primer residue, right?
If the shotgun was not clean, there is a potential for the transfer off of that shotgun, yes.
Yeah, these are important
And
questions.
if if bow whoop hadn't been cleaned in years, there would be
No objection. What's he saying?
bow whoop. B-O-W-H-O-O-P, the name of Mr. Randolph Murdaugh's shotgun.
He named his
That shotgun
shotgun
hadn't
B
been cleaned in
Whoop.
years.
What is he,
More
Dr.
likely you would
Mike?
get gunshot residue deposit.
I don't know
on
where that comes from.
Anything that came
Does
on
anybody
top
in the
of it.
chat know? I'm curious.
The transfer would be
He
more
named
like
his shotgun B Whoop.
Now, you also testified that 38 particles of
People in South
gunshot
Carolina
primer
are
residue
weird.
was a significant amount.
Yes,
Remember
sir.
saying that?
Yes, sir.
I've been learning that.
I guess then you would agree with me that one particle on the hand is an
Now, if he
insignificant
nicknamed his
amount.
shotgun B Whoop,
I can
you
just
know
say
he
that it
didn't
was
call the
present.
black
I can't
truck
tell you that it's
the black
insignificant.
truck.
The black truck. Sure.
Yeah, you can say 38
Sure
is significant.
can.
Because it's much more than you would
Exactly, Meat.
expect on an item that wasn't in the vicinity or didn't come into contact with an object with gunshot primer residue on it. One particle, I can't tell you when or how or it got there.
Well, would you agree with 3 particles on a shirt is an insignificant amount?
It's just 3 particles on a shirt, and it can be one of the 2 ways.
3 particles,
Or a
one
combination
shirt.
of the 2 ways of being in the vicinity or transfer.
Yet you're comfortable saying 38 is significant, but you're not comfortable saying 1 is insignificant.
Insignificant implies that the evidence itself is insignificant, but it's a particle of gunshot primer residue. I'm not going to say that it's insignificant evidence.
Well, should you say 38 is significant, or do you say there's 38 particles on there?
Significant implying that it's a large amount, not that it's a small amount, but a large amount.
So is 3 a small amount?
Not in how many that we get normally. It's about average.
I'm still laughing at that objection. Objection,
Now,
what? The B Whoop.
In addition to the,
By the way,
the rain
what
jacket,
is
and I
not a
think
legitimate
that is item
objection?
173 in your lab, you were also
I enjoyed it,
provided a blue card, item 174. You remember? seeing
The
blue
entertainment
card?
factor, I will
Yes, sir.
allow it in my courtroom.
And after discussing the scenario presented by the witness with Captain Ryan Neal, you and he decided that there was no need to process the blue tarp seized from Almeida, correct?
Correct.
And are you aware that this witness was Shelley
Rose.
Smith?
I am now. I was not aware who the witness was at the time.
So in your conversation with Agent Ryan Neal, he says, don't worry about the tarp.
Objection to hearsay.
That's a legal objection. That's a legitimate objection right there.
Yeah.
What? That ain't one.
After your conversation with
I want to hear
Ryan
that one
Neal
more.
about what a witness had relayed to him, you, in consultation with Agent Neal, decided not to test the tarp.
That's correct. That was based on that the raincoat was balled up in a closet versus the tarp being folded in a container and in place in a location.
When you say balled up, what do you mean?
I
Balled
wasn't
up?
there, so I don't know, but that was the information. It was haphazardly placed in the bottom of the closet.
I thought it was folded in the
If
closet.
it had
My
been
understanding
folded
was
and
folded.
placed on top of some other items in the closet, would that have made a difference to you?
I'm not sure. That would have had to have been a discussion between the agents and my management.
Have you seen all the photos of the search warrant where it was found and how it was folded or not folded, balled or not balled?
I've
Chandler
seen one
wins the
photo.
memory competition for
The one that's in
today.
evidence?
I'm not sure.
For 6:30 in the morning. Thank you. I feel pretty sharp.
You were informed from Agent Neal that, or you concluded that the supposition was that the firearm was in contact with the rain jacket, correct?
I'm sorry.
You documented that the supposition was that the firearm was in contact with the rain jacket.
They were trying to determine, I think, whether a firearm was in contact with the rain jacket, and that was a possibility given my results.
Now, you
Chat, you guys are funny.
so you remember
It's a
what you did with the blue
possibility.
tarp? Just put it in storage and it's never been taken out again, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, I don't know what happened to the blue tarp.
Nobody
Did
knows.
you ever have any involvement with the blue tarp after it was presented to your?
Did it just disappear?
evidence lab?
I mean,
No
where did
idea.
it go?
Burnt up like the prosecution's case.
Yeah. Flew
The,
too close to the sun, perhaps,
The rain jacket
like the Murdaugh family.
did,
Just
do
disintegrated
you know
into
if
the ether.
fingerprints were taken off the rain jacket?
I don't know of any other analyses performed on the rain jacket.
Would you have been able to tell if there'd been lifts for fingerprints when it came to you?
For gunshot primer residue evidence, the trace lab always gets it first because any other processes might remove the gunshot primer residue. So no other analyses would have taken place prior to ours.
The rain jacket was slated, I believe you testified, for further DNA analysis.
That was what was on the outside of the box. Yes, sir.
And because of that, you and Agent Jamie Hall wore gloves and a gown and a mask, right?
Unlike every
we always wear
attorney in
gloves
this courtroom.
and the lab jacket,
Yeah.
but the mask was added because of the DNA request.
Do you know the results of the DNA analysis?
I do not.
Well, who does?
Maybe somebody they might put on at some point in the future.
You were
One of the 242,000 people on the witness list?
Well, 256.
Of the rain
Oh, it's
jacket.
256. I
I
underestimated.
just want to publish two more that were introduced.
Many
And,
people.
438. Doug, can you put 438 on the screen, please? I think you had it. Now it's gone.
Now it's gone.
Just like
There
that
we
part.
go. Agent Fletcher, can you see that?
I can.
What's that?
This is a page out of my case
Welcome,
file,
first last.
that I prepared for my technical reviewer and as part of my information.
Well, I'm looking up
with
the
me.
estrogen on my stream, but
It's
only in the
a-
good way.
A picture of the packaging, the paper bag that the rain jacket was included in with the documentation on it, as well as the tag from the rain jacket labeling the brand of it, the size of it, and it also has our lab net information and the initials and date in which it was analyzed by the trace department.
Okay, at the bottom of this, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a date of 10/8/2021. Is that when you took the photo?
No, sir, that's when I prepared the
Of course she is.
PowerPoint
Aw,
for
Thank you.
inclusion
That's
in my
very
case
nice.
file.
Your chat is
Nice.
so lovely.
So Doug, if you'll go to the next exhibit, 439, please. And there you
Sorry.
labeled manufacturer's tags. You see that?
Yes, sir.
You tell the jury what size this rain jacket is.
It's a large.
Okay. And do you know this brand name? Kokata?
I had to look it up. I wasn't familiar with it prior to this case.
Well, what is the brand? We want to know.
Down, please.
I think it's Koktep. Koktep.
1 second.
Something
Ann,
like that.
please.
I
That's
could
right,
be
you
wrong.
researched it.
I did. I looked at that. I looked that up.
And Paul Forrester says, cross-examination of Meatloaf. Me and coworkers are dying laughing. FYI, all you heathens better like this live stream now. He's a good man.
Correct.
I concur. Thank you for that super chat. And go to Chandler Remington's Twitter
Morning.
page and make sure you subscribe to her. It is Remy,
Griffin asked you about
REMYCRH.
38 particles.
That would be lovely. I would love to have you all. Come join me.
Parka,
Do
poncho,
it. She's
rain
awesome.
jacket, the blue garment.
Thank you.
She's
You're
based
awesome.
AF.
You asked about the 38 particles.
Well, that's a huge
what I'm
compliment. I
responding to.
appreciate that.
Okay, well, I'll talk louder. Sorry.
Coming from somebody very based.
Actually, how many
Thank you.
particles were on the garment?
In total, there were 52 particles. There were 14 that I confirmed on the outside of the rain jacket, and there were 38 on the interior of the rain jacket.
And I confused myself yesterday. There were 13 particle lifts and 12 particle lifts, correct? And then out of that, you found the 52 particle characteristics.
He's keeping her
Gunshot
distance from this, and
primer
she's a
residue,
big one.
correct?
That's correct.
He's
And
right.
38 of those.
Don't
were
want to
on
get
the
too
inside.
close.
Yes, sir.
That's what he asked you about. 14 were on the outside.
Yes, sir.
And when you wear that garment, do you typically wear it inside's inside? Is that what it means?
I would think so.
And
Do you wear your clothes inside out? Is that the question?
And he asked you, is it a
I do
possibility
sometimes unintentionally.
that a firearm?
I mean, it happens if it's really dark, really early.
With the
Yeah,
rain
or
jacket.
really drunk, one of the two. You know.
And you said it's possible, it's really possible, isn't it? I mean, those numbers are unusual, aren't they? 38.
For the interior of a garment, I would think that they were unusual, yes.
Why would it be
And that's
unusual? You have it on your
common sense,
clothes. You wear a raincoat. It gets
well,
transferred.
they're just
Why is
not-
that unusual?
What is it? I'm sorry.
Seriously, get him.
How do you describe that in your world, everyday living, and then you're examining it?
What
How
is
do you
unusual?
describe those particles inside of a garment that you're supposed to wear with the outside?
Well, typically, people wear their clothing right side out, and so if they're in the vicinity to the discharge of a shooting, that's where the particles are going to land.
He's
Expert
shooting.
testimony.
Yes, sir.
It was on his clothes. It started fucking raining. He put the raincoat on. Do you want to see how much fucking dog hair I've got on the inside of all of my coats and sweaters and shit? A ton.
Although I think you hit on something. I think too much Fireball and drunk hog hunting. He must have put the raincoat on inside out. That's what happens in the wait, is it the Low Country or the High
Griffin
Country? I
asked you
forget.
about.
Fireball and hog hunting.
Yeah, it's a perfect combination. Are you not familiar with this, Jeff? It's fantastic. You got to try it.
Laid on it, and it was in a truck.
Oh my
With the
god.
38 particles inside of the rain jacket.
I think it's a reasonable
That
explanation.
they recently fired
You
firearm
can't say
being
fireball and
contained
hog hunting is the reason.
It could be, yes.
I just did. So
inside. With a recently fired firearm being carried inside of that rain jacket.
Just inside the rain jacket, I don't know that it matters if you're carrying it.
Okay, right. You're very technical and precise. Okay. But if you were carrying it and you had a gun inside that rain jacket that had recently been fired,
Oh, hang on.
and you were taking it somewhere to hide it or transport it, would the 38 particles inside the rain jacket be consistent with transfer from a recently fired firearm?
That is a possibility, yes, sir.
And again, how did you describe those 38 particles in your world?
They're unusual because they're on the interior of a garment,
Go ahead.
and it's a large number.
Unusual because they're on the interior of a garment, and an unusual number.
Well, a large number.
Object.
The last answer for the record was a large number.
Yes, sir.
Further examination.
a large number compared to what? Exactly.
Very briefly, Agent Fletcher. What I
Oh
got.
God, hello again.
A whole lot of possibilities of what could have happened, right?
That's correct.
The only thing you can tell us is what you saw under a microscope.
Yes, sir.
You can't tell the jury how it got there, right?
That's correct.
Or when it got there.
I owe Chandler a shot.
And
Oh, nice. Excellent.
I forgot to ask.
Let's see what Fireball tastes like after about 4
Does it
years since
produce
I've touched this
gunshot
bottle.
residue?
Rimfire ammunition.
We give her the
does
special guest
produce
shot glass,
gunshot
too.
primer residue.
Fabulous. I wish I could cheers
Some
with you.
don't produce the traditional lead, barium, and antimony. Others do. It just
to
depends on
Chandler,
what type of ammunition.
Fireball and
is
hog
used.
hunting. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bottoms up.
Oh, God, that is so bad.
I know, it's horrible. I'm so sorry.
Call your
I
next
should have-
witness.
I should have been like Lagavulin and hog hunting.
I'm all over that.
I'm too late. Next time.
No. Like any of these people ever drink Lagavulin. You were spot on the Fireball. Hunch the Dirty Roofer, and I as I said, I always just, you're one of my favorite profile names ever. Hunch the Dirty Roofer says the only proper liquor when going hog hunting is moonshine in canning jars, like God intended. I drink out of mason jars because that's how I roll. Oh my, who's this witness? Oh God, that is so bad.
My name is Annette Griswold.
You need to wash it down with something better.
Ms. Griswold, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, thank you.
Good. If you would just tell the jury a little bit about yourself.
Go away, Eva.
Where you grew up and what you do for a living, please.
Okay. I grew up in Hampton, South Carolina, and lived there for the first 18 years of my life, graduated from Wade Hampton High School, went away for college at 18, ended up falling in love with the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Over the next 2 decades, I spent most of that time in Charlotte. That's where I got married. And with the exception of a few years coming back to Hampton and a few years in Columbia for my husband to get his degree, that time was spent in Charlotte until 2012. My dad took ill and he wanted us to move closer to be near him, and my mom needed help taking care of him. So I moved home in 2012 after my father passed away. A few months after, I went back on the job search, and I'd been out of work for 2 months helping my mom. So I was looking for a job and ran into my friend's father, and he told me I should probably check the law firm. I found out that I had a school friend that worked there. So I reached out to her, sent her my resume, and she forwarded it to the right people. And 3 interviews later, I was working for the firm, and I worked as a paralegal and was hired to work for Alec Murdaugh.
Which firm are we talking about?
What everybody refers to as PMPED.
Okay. And when did you start working there?
July of 2012.
And when you started working there, who were you working for?
Alec Murdaugh.
And the entirety of the time that you were there up until the time that he was no longer a partner of that firm, is that who you worked for?
That's correct.
So how long was that?
That was a little over 9 years.
Were you the only staff member that he had that was assigned to him?
No, we have, there's 2 of us that work for Alec. I've
smash
been
her
with him,
pass,
like I said,
Jack.
9 years. And then the other secretary was Christy Gerald, and she had been with him about almost double of what I'd been there.
Quickly describe for me sort of the division of labor between you and Christy Gerald, please.
I was hired to handle more of the larger cases that Alec had, where it's litigation law, and so it's personal injury for the most part, workers' comp, medical malpractice.
Oh, come on.
Premises
We all know the
liability,
paralegals
product
don't do any
liability,
work, right, Chandler?
wrongful death, trucking cases.
We slack
And
off.
so he wanted me to take
Kidding.
over those bigger cases and handle those. And
parallels.
then Christy did more of the
Paralegals can
day-to-day
make or break your
stuff
life.
and the smaller files.
That is true.
Still just
Don't
as
cross that.
important, but just smaller files than the larger ones.
Or we might
Yeah,
end
the
up
more
testifying
complex
against
I
you
did.
in a court of law.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Just quickly, how was the defendant as a boss and a lawyer? Just what were his typical work habits, and what was he like in the office?
Oh, I want to hear
Extremely
this.
intelligent when it comes to the law. I respected
Really?
and admired that in him greatly. He didn't keep normal hours. He liked to float in later in the late morning time or early afternoon. We always had a running joke. We never knew. We knew that he might not be there all day, but he would always show up right before 5 o'clock when we were ready to leave. So,
Oh, hey, I have that
just,
boss.
Kept unset hours. Pretty. I sometimes referred to Alec as a Tasmanian devil, because when he walked in, no matter what you were doing, you were started spinning, because he was just coming through and
That's my boss. It's
you know,
15
shouting
minutes before
everybody's
going
name
home. Oh,
and
by the way, you
ready
need
to
to do
get
these
work
4
done when
things
he was
before you
walking in the
leave.
door. So it was like it was kind of confusing.
Let me ask you just a little bit. The jury's heard some testimony about disbursement sheets and how they work. And can you just remind them very quickly how that works? Who prepares the disbursement sheets, and how does that go about taking place?
After I find out that a case is settled, I go ahead and start getting my disbursement sheet ready, where I can kind of go ahead and expect what the deductions are that are going to come out of it. You know, the attorney's fees, the expenses. Anytime you have Medicare or any health insurance, there's typically a lien on that money, and we are required by law to pay it back. So I go ahead and start looking into all that, draft the sheet, and get everything on it that I know that I'm aware of. And then it goes to Alec, and he makes any changes he needs to. And then he would sign, once he signs off on it, I send it across to our accounts payable department, and they cut the checks.
You helped somebody out.
Are you familiar with what is generally referred to as the boat case?
I am.
And that is the boat wreck that occurred around February of 2019?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that the defendant was sued civilly in that particular case?
Yes, sir.
After the boat case happened, did you notice any change in the defendant's demeanor around the office and about his work habits?
I did. He was more distant. Even when he was in the office, he was absent. It was hard to, he's always been hard to sit still and get answers from and to sign our documents and anything that we had put in his office to sign. But it got extremely worse after the boat accident. He was rarely there, and when he was, the door was closed, and it was almost impossible for us to reach him. He was always on his phone. He was always dealing with something bigger than what we had going on.
As time moved on into the early part of 2021, did that even get worse?
It did. He would come in lots of times, and he was just not his normal self or what his normal self used to be. It was just very tense, and I don't know how to describe it. It's just, you could tell that it was the boat crash was weighing heavy on him, and it was consuming his life almost, it seemed like, and he was just harder to reach. And there was a couple instances where I referred to him as having his ass on his shoulders, because that's how I felt. It was disrespectful of me to feel that way and to say that out loud, but that's how I felt, because he just wasn't himself with us anymore. He came in, and
I'm saying that from now on. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I'm saying that one from now on. You got your ass on your
treat us
shoulders.
the same way he did prior to the boat accident.
What does that even mean?
Was the defendant very protective about
Butthead? I don't
into
know.
his office?
He was. There was often times where he would come in on a Monday and say, "Who's been in my office?" And we'd be like, "I don't know, probably the cleaning ladies. We have no idea." He was, it was very cluttered, very unorganized, but he said he knew where his stuff was, that it was organized in his way.
Jury's heard a lot of testimony about this, and just in the interest of time,
I get
I'll ask
that.
it this way.
To me, my life
Over
is
the
organized.
years,
Everyone else thinks
in
my
various
life
cases,
is a
did the
shambles, but to me, it's
defendant,
organized
ask
in a
you,
special
to
way.
Put disbursements to Forge on various disbursement
I relate to
sheets,
that.
So that settlement checks would be prepared.
I know where
from the
everything
trust
is.
account.
Just
made
because
out
you
that
don't
way.
know where everything
He
is.
did. I can't remember when
That's
it
all that
started,
matters.
but he told me, to put it on Forge, and me knowing Forge Consulting was a legitimate company, I would, on the disbursement sheet, I would put Forge Consulting, and he would say, "No, it's not Forge Consulting. If I wanted to be Forge Consulting, I would have told you Forge Consulting. I want it to be Forge." And I was like, "Well, I don't understand. Isn't the name of the company Forge Consulting?" And he told me that he described it to me. He said, "Think of it like Forge Consulting is the large company, and Forge is a kind of under that umbrella of it." So he said, Forge Consulting is the big name, and then you have all different things they do, including Forge, which is more like a
So
savings
remember, he set
account
up Forge as a
than a
fake
trust.
fake company
change it
to
from
siphon
Forge
funds that were
Consulting to just
supposed to go to Forge
Correct.
Consulting
Even when
into his own
across the
fake
street
account.
at the accounts payable
Right.
department, they would write the
both
check
legal
out to
and
Forge
illegal
Consulting. I would
somehow?
Yeah.
lots of times I would have to reach out to them and say, "Hey, you wrote
It's
this
a
to Forge
gray area.
Consulting. He says it needs to be Forge." And so lots of times they would have to change that.
Those checks that he would have on disbursement sheets to get cut, made out to Forge, would he often talk to you about picking those up personally?
Yes, I would ask him if I could go ahead and mail it to Michael Gunn at Forge Consulting. 'cause he was our contact.
No, don't mail it to
And,
them. I'll take it.
He would say, "No, you know what? I'm seeing Gunn this weekend. He's coming out to the farm, or we're going to meet halfway tonight and have dinner." He always said that he was going to hand deliver it. So I even got to where I would make file notes in my files. Alec took check to hand deliver, because I was so worried that he was going to lose these checks, because he was, a little aloof sometimes, and, would leave keys in his vehicle, would misplace a few things. And so I was so worried that these checks were going to get lost, and then we would have to do a stop payment and reissue the check. So I started making notes where I would remember that I didn't mail it, that it was actually hand delivered.
Translation,
Well,
I was
hand-delivered, at least
suspicious, and a
from
good
who was telling
paralegal
you
keeps a
it's
paper
That's
trail.
correct. Yes,
Who's saying that?
Yeah.
Alec was.
All right, when you're talking about the defendant or Alec Murdaugh, do you see him here in the courtroom
He's
today?
good, though.
I do.
Can you point him out to the jury, please?
Yes, he's over in it looks like a navy blue jacket.
Your Honor, can the record reflect she's identified the defendant? You mentioned he would say that, I'm going to see Gunn, I'm meeting him halfway, we're going hunting, things like that. tell the jury again, who's Michael Gunn?
Michael Gunn he's our contact. He's the person we talk to when it comes to trust annuities with Forge Consulting.
And that's the real Forge, correct?
That's correct.
Not the fake Forge.
Not the fake Forge.
Moving into the latter part of 2020, did you have any particular issue arise with the disbursement to Forge that caught your attention?
I did.
Tell me about that if you would.
I was currently working from home. I'd had surgery on Halloween of 2020, and I was working from home, hadn't come back yet. I was planned to come back to the office the following Monday. And on that day, I believe it was December 15th of 2020. I got a phone call from the accounts payable department. Nicole called me, and she's one of the ladies that cuts the checks and works for Jeannie Seckinger. And she told me that she had just got a disbursement sheet over, that Christy had sent over a disbursement sheet in one of my files. It made no sense. She didn't understand it. And I was like, I was confused too, because I was like, why didn't he contact me to do my disbursement? Because I'm kind of protective over my files. If I've worked that file the whole time, I want to finish that file. I want to work the whole process of it. And
again, just because he stole some money doesn't mean he killed his family.
Part of the file, because I want to be able to
fucking hate
have
this
that
financial shit.
Be there when that client gets their money and gets that closure that they deserve. So
devil's advocate.
I thought it was very odd.
No,
that
it'll be great in the financial
Christy was
crimes
drafting a
trial.
disbursement in one of my
Yes.
files, and
Which will be more entertaining,
I was
for sure.
I was working from home, and I still could have been reached, but I wasn't until Nicole reached out to me and told me.
Keep going.
She told me, she sends it to me by email or text, I can't remember, and I reviewed it, and it didn't make sense to me either. There was a line on it that said the attorney fees were going, or amount of it was going to Forge, and I didn't understand how that was happening, and I'd never seen him send attorney fees to Forge before, and so I didn't know that that was even a possibility. And so I called the office, and Christy transferred me to Alec, and I spoke to him and asked him about it. And he said, why did Nicole call you? And I said, well, she doesn't know how to write these checks out because it doesn't make sense to her. She hasn't ever seen a disbursement like this. And he said, I'll take care of it. And so he said, I'll call Nicole, I'll take care of it. And so I remember talking to Nicole later and say, so what did he say? What was the reason behind it? And she said, he said that they can structure their attorney fees, and that's what that check was for.
Did you have a subsequent discussion with the defendant about that?
I did, and he told me the same thing. He said it was something that they've been able to do forever. He just never took advantage of it before, and so now he decided that he was going to start structuring those attorney fees where it would make have interest on. And so it made sense, because why not? Why not, instead of having that money sit somewhere, put it somewhere where it's going to draw more money?
His explanation to you made sense.
Yes, it did.
On its face.
Yes.
Do you remember the name of that case?
That was the Hirschberger case.
I'm going to show you.
All right, AA Ron, thank you so much for the super chat. Super chats are great.
Show you what's already been admitted.
Oh, we'd much rather watch this trial on your stream rather than going anywhere else. Stick with this trial and don't abandon us. Return on investment, people. ROI. Repeat after
Yes,
me.
that was
Return
the
on
disbursement
investment.
that was in December of 2020 that I was talking about.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Put it up on the screen.
And I'm not grifting for super chats. I'm just pointing out we're an hour and 18 minutes into this, and there's like $30 worth of super chat. I would much rather be sleeping at 12:19 a.m. And I'm not grifting for super chats. Don't get me wrong. We did that last Friday. I'm just saying, return on investment.
ROI. Very good.
At that point in time, we're in December of 2020. Is that right?
That's correct.
Actually, I was just saying stop because it's really funny and I don't want to laugh.
To you on your face, did that matter just kind of go away at that point in time?
It did. It was kind of, always at the back of my mind, because I still felt like there should have been some kind of paper trail. But yeah, the explanation worked that he gave me. And so I was trying to just go along with it because I thought it was valid.
As we move on into January 2021, did another incident happen that came to your attention as related to disbursements?
Yes, the end of January, it was a Friday afternoon. I left early that day to take my mom to the eye doctor, and kind of the same scenario of kind of an exact repeat of December happened again. Nicole from Accounts Payable called me, and I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Well, I've got another one." And so Christy had drafted a disbursement in a case referred to as Moore, and she had sent it over.
No.
What's happening? Oh, is it buffering
And
again?
once again, it had the same wording and kind of confusion that the Hirschberger one.
No.
I'm trying to do voodoo with my mind to get it to reset.
Yeah, no, this is Korea. I know it's not me because I rebooted my Korea, like, because they're so internet heavy. Occasionally they just throttle back everybody's internet.
She didn't really understand it again. Still,
20 million kids
she was
playing
still trying to say, I feel like we need more information on this. And I said, I do too. And so kind of the same scenarios before, I reached out to Alec, he reached out to Nicole, and ultimately the checks got written. But it was the same scenario as you can see on here, the $91,867.50.
Bad, very bad.
Attorney fees that were structured that went straight to Forge, to the fake, what we now know was the fake Forge.
All right. And oh God. Is that still in the Hirschberger matter you're talking
That's
about?
the Hirschberger one. And on the Thomas More one, it
We'll
was
get there in a second.
okay.
When you got that call, do you remember where you were the second call?
Yeah, the Thomas More, I was at the eye doctor with my mom.
I'm still on Hirschberger. Do you remember where you were on that?
Oh, I was home. I'd had surgery and I was home recovering.
And I'm going to show
Been
you
there,
this.
done that. Says these
we're
funds are
still
for
in the same
purchasing
exhibit,
profile pictures.
That being 429. Do you recognize that at all?
And Eva Torres says you're a butt with one T, so I guess that's not an insult.
This exhibit to you. Just take a flip through it, if you would, please.
Absolutely.
I knew that would come up. I had a feeling.
Oh, jeez, Winter Soldier, go away.
Hirschberger.
Yeah, this is,
Hirschberger.
What
the name of the
refer
client.
to now is the second Hirschberger disbursement. It was on the UIM portion of the case and liability portion. So
God damn it, stop.
Once again, the PMP attorney's fees were routed to Forge in the amount of
Sometimes I'm glad I can't see the chat.
$83.33.
Need to get that laptop hooked up.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you had started to talk about Thomas More. Is that another incident that came?
Sir
to your
Thomas
attention?
Moore. Wow, that's some pretty
into early 2021.
educated stuff
sir,
for
that
South
one,
Carolina.
Like I said, was at the end of January. Once again, I was out of the office. I was at an eye doctor with my appointment with my mom. Got the call from Nicole. She said it's
I'm
the
not
same
familiar with
scenario. But this time it was all the funds that was in client's trust, which was $125,000, I believe, and all those funds were being routed. That was attorney fees and client money that was being routed to
Sir Thomas More. He was like an
the
English
fake Forge.
judge in the 14 and 1500s.
And this was another one of your cases, is that right?
It was.
Oh.
So
He served-
another situation.
he was the
where
High
I'm out
Lord
of the
Chancellor
office.
for Henry
It's
VIII.
almost 5:00 in the afternoon on a Friday.
You know your history.
Christy
Bob.
drafts
And he's also a saint.
disbursement. Alec signs it. They send it
Saint
over
Thomas
in
More.
my absence.
When these instances are happening,
There's a
that
ring
you're
to it.
describing to the jury, where you happen to be out of the office, and these are your cases, right?
That's correct.
And all of a sudden, you're getting communications.
No, she
that the
said Thomas
defendant was having
More.
Christie draft some disbursements.
God
In
damn
these
it.
cases, was there anything going on that something happened and had to be done that very day that you just happened to be out of the office?
I didn't think so because, in particular, the Thomas More case,
Mean.
we were working on the third party portion of the case.
I quit.
But there was also a workers' comp portion that another attorney was working on.
Even the internet quit. Oh my God.
Be nice to paralegals. I'm telling you, we have a lot of power. A lot more than you think.
And when you're
No, I
working
like
on a
this
workers'
witness.
comp case,
Yeah. Oh, she's just like, yeah,
if you
he's
settle
telling me
the
to commit
third
all these
party
crimes,
first,
and
you
I
can't
figured it
disperse
out.
it until the workers' comp portion is taken care of, because workers' comp always has a huge lien that you have to negotiate for the client. So the
I'm sure
money
we'll
was
be seeing
supposed to
more
sit
of her in
there.
the
It was my
future.
understanding it would probably be sitting there another year until the workers' comp portion of the case was settled. So those funds didn't need to go anywhere. So it was very odd that all of a sudden they're all sent to Forge because they were supposed to remain in the account, was my understanding.
Do you take pride in the work that you do on these complex cases?
I do.
Do you know your cases very well?
I'd say I do.
And was there any reason of which you were aware that things had to be happening?
Oh, stop it.
So rude of the internet.
While this is buffering, she is actually a fantastic witness. She's just
Yes, she
laying
is.
it out there.
I think she's
Yasmin-
very clear and concise, and she's
Yeah.
her testimony is actually interesting to listen to, for once.
Yeah, he's asking me to do all this illegal shit, and this is what
Particularly
happened.
unusual because it was workers' comp and those funds couldn't be dispersed yet, correct? To your understanding?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever have a conversation
imagine.
with the defendant about why these funds were dispersed?
I did, and he explained to me that he had gotten permission that since the money was going to be sitting there another year, that they were going to send it to Forge and let it draw interest, and then that would be money that would draw interest on for the client as well as the firm, because it was both portions of the money.
I'm going to show you what's already been admitted into evidence. It states 328. See if you recognize this document.
And while she's recognizing documents,
Yes,
Winter
this
Soldier
is the
said,
Thomas
fuck,
More
never mind.
disbursement that I'm referring to, where the entire client trust amount of $125,000.
Do you recognize the signature down at the bottom of the page?
I do. Alex signed it where it says R. Alexander Murdaugh, and then where the client's signature is, that is not the client's signature. It's Alex handwriting.
You recognize this handwriting from working for him for 9 years?
I do.
Random question. Are you a smoker, Chandler?
I'm not.
Okay, I was gonna say if you are, smoke them if you got them. I don't care. It's pipe time here. I need the nicotine to keep me awake.
Oh, go for it.
Did the defendant have a case going on around this time involving Mack trucks?
He did. What we refer to as the Ferris case. We actually went to Columbia and had a bench trial in that case in January of 21.
And did you work on that case to some extent?
I did.
Was that one of the ones assigned to you?
Yes.
Was the defendant the only lawyer on that case, or were there other lawyers?
No, there was two co-counsels that had brought us in. Wayne Ridgway was the first attorney that received that case. He reached out to Chris Wilson's office, and Chris joined the case as well. And then Chris reached out to our firm, and so now there's a third attorney, which was Alec, involved in it.
Ultimately, was that case tried before a judge?
It was bench trial, like I said, in January of 2021.
And did the judge issue a verdict in favor of the firm's clients?
Did, yes, sir. And the next month, I think sometime in February, we got a very nice verdict for the clients.
Who was going to be dispersing the fees in that once the money came in? Was that going to be PMPED, or was it going to be the other attorneys?
Chris Wilson's office.
Had the firm PMPED, had it accrued costs in the course of that litigation?
Yes.
Expenses?
Yes,
And did you prepare those and send those to Chris Wilson's office, or how did that work?
I did. I put the totals in an email and sent them to, Alec wanted me to send him the totals by email, and so that's what I did. And then I guess he sent them to Chris after that.
All right. And then after that happened, do you remember what month the money came in, roughly?
In May.
Well, let me slow you down. Once you've done that, when the money comes in, you said Chris Wilson's office is going to be handling that disbursement, correct?
Correct.
What are you expecting to happen next?
I'm expecting copies
No,
of
stop.
the settlement paperwork, copies of the disbursement sheets signed by the client. And I'm expecting 2 fee checks and 2 expense reimbursement checks, because there's 2 cases. It was a case for the for the deceased and a case for his wife. So I'm expecting 4 checks total.
And you're about to say, and I cut you off, you said something happened in May. Did something happen related to the Ferris case in May?
Yes, I received by mail the settlement package from Chris Wilson's office, but all it contained was a cover letter and the 2 expense reimbursement checks. So I emailed Vicki Lyman, which is Chris Wilson's secretary, and said something like, hey girl, I got these expense checks in. When can I expect the attorney fee checks? And she replied to my email telling me that, excuse me, hey friend, you know, the attorney's got that money at disbursement. And I was really shocked because I didn't even know when the disbursement took place. I was never supplied copies of it or anything.
What's your thought when Vicki says that? What did you think may have happened?
Well, I called her and I said, you know, you already gave the checks. I was like, I don't think we've received them. And she was like, yeah, they were done at disbursement in March. And so I asked her first to send me over copies of the disbursement sheets and where I could look at those. And then I reached out across to our accounts payable just to make sure that checks somehow bypassed me and went straight to their.
She's a great paralegal.
To their department, and
she knows her stuff.
They didn't have any such checks on the books either. And I was like, okay, so I assumed that they gave Ellick the checks and he's lost them. They're misplaced. They're somewhere in his truck. They're somewhere in a file folder stuck and just kind of hid away and he's forgotten to give them to me.
Did you say that to Becky? Like, come on, why'd you give them to my boss?
Why? I said, why would you do that? I was like, why would you give checks to the attorney? Why wouldn't you send them straight to me where I can get them deposited?
I'm going to put states 312 that's already in evidence, and this is.
He does look resentful. I agree.
71 for the record up on the screen. Can you see that on your little screen? Do I need to bring that in?
I can see it.
And can you tell the jury what that is?
That is the email I was talking about where I told her I just got the expenses, but where's the fee? And she says it's because your boss and mine and Liz's got their fees once they were signed. Duh.
I appreciate the attention to detail in the accurate quoting.
Did you have a conversation with Alec at this point, or what did you do next?
I did.
So you called the finance in your own firm and said, hey, did we get this check? And they said no.
They said no. And so I verified that. And then I asked Vicki, I said, are you positive? And she said yes. And I was like, okay, I'll go see if he remembers where they're at. So he happened to be in the office by that time. His door was closed. I went in, he was on the phone, and I kind of kept checking and going back. Eventually I got to speak to him, and he was still kind of on the phone, but he was like, no, I didn't get those checks. And I was like, are you sure? And he said, yeah. And I was kind of back and forth. I'm like, he said he didn't get them. Are you sure? And this kind of went back and forth for a few minutes, and over the course of the rest of the day. And I said, hey, he just told me that Chris was still holding those funds in trust. I was like, I don't understand. You know, you say that they've been cut. I was like, can you send me copies of stuff? Because I don't see anything. And he's telling me their funds are in trust. And she was like, Annette, I know for a fact that the checks are cut. There is no money in trust. And the reason I know that is because when the checks were written to Alec, I knew it was a bit odd because they were written to Richard. They were written out to him personally instead of the firm. And I said,
they were written out to him personally instead of the firm.
Correct.
Why did that stick out in her mind? Why did that stick out in your mind?
Because
it's illegal.
Common sense tells me that the attorney fees belong to the firm, where the firm, I don't know. I didn't understand the complete breakdown until Jeannie went over it in her testimony, but I knew by common sense that the funds.
She watched Jeannie's testimony.
They do whatever percentages and everything they need to do, then the attorney
that might be a problem. Ordinarily, you're not allowed to watch other people's testimony.
It shouldn't have never
unless you're an expert.
An individual attorney. It should go to the firm as a whole.
And you asked the defendant, said, "Hey, Vicki says you already got those," and he tells you what?
He told me that Chris was holding that money in trust, that it had not been dispersed yet.
Did he tell you Vicki's wrong?
Yeah, he told me Vicki's wrong. I don't care what she's telling you, she's wrong.
What was his demeanor when you were inquiring? You know,
just kind of like, you know, just shooing me out of his office. Like, I don't have time for this.
Gaslighting.
Yeah, really.
After Vicki tells you that the it was odd because the checks had been made out to the defendant personally instead of the law firm. What did you do next?
I asked her, I said, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yes." And she said, "Yeah, it was written out to him." Well, first I was like, "I'm sorry, what did you say?" And I made her repeat it to make sure I heard correctly. And she was like, and then kind of while she was saying it out loud, I think it kind of registered to her, oh, wait, that probably wasn't the right thing to do. Because she kind of hushed after that and didn't want to talk and kind of wanted to get off the phone with me. And so I still kind of tried to question Alec over the next couple of days and tried to get a reasonable explanation of what was going on, because in my mind, you know, I'm still hoping he just lost the checks and this was all just a misunderstanding. But at the back of my mind, you know, there's this huge red flag telling me this is not right. You know, what is going on?
She's the kind of paralegal you don't want to have
Would
if you're embezzling funds, and exactly the kind you want if you're the firm.
You couldn't get an answer about it.
Yes. I eventually, I don't know the exact date, but
There's a good memory.
eventually emailed Jeannie Seconder and asked her if she was in the office because I really needed to speak to her. And she said she would be back later that day. And so I went into her office and I had everything printed out and kind of showed her and told her my concerns. And she was instantly on, on high alert as well, because, you know, it didn't look good. We were still both hoping that it was a misunderstanding, just this one-off, something silly that happened, but we both had that nagging feeling of this is not good. Something is definitely wrong.
Did Jeannie instruct you to do anything?
She did not. She said that she would talk to him about it, and she kept the paperwork that I gave her.
Were you ever asked to send another email to Vicky asking for particular documents?
Yeah, actually, it was kind of my idea. I kind of told Jeannie, I was like, hey, you know, why don't we do this? Why don't you send me an email telling me what we need, and then I'll forward that email from myself, and, you know, to see if we can get copies of everything where we can figure all this out and eliminate it. Because, you know, at this point, we want to prove that that suspicion we had was wrong and that everything's really okay. So she did. She forwarded me an email. And
I'm still on states 312. What's been date stamped is 2374. And is this the email that you just described that Jeannie forwarded to you requesting the documentation for the Ferris fees?
It is underneath where, Jeannie texts there or emails there and tells me exactly what she needs and kind of is very specific.
At what date was that? I'm sorry.
That was May 27th at 11:40 a.m.
His birthday.
And then going over to 2373.
People are so done with this trial. Even Nick is down 1,000 viewers from where he was yesterday.
Forwarded to Vicky Lyman at Chris Wilson's office.
Yes, it was. I emailed.
He's down to
forwarded that
only
email that Jeannie sent me on the same day,
6,500
May
viewers.
27th. And I knew she was on vacation, but I went ahead and sent this to her. And then when I knew she had time to get back from vacation, I sent this follow up on the strand on June 2nd and requesting it again.
All right. And did you get a response email from Vicky Lyman and Chris Wilson's office?
Yeah, she said she didn't, you know, this doesn't involve her, and she said she would forward it to Chris. And we were basically just asking for copies of everything where we could clear this matter up. And, you know, like I said, we wanted our suspicion to be wrong.
I like that testimony.
Yeah.
It's objective. It shows a tendency towards the truth, which I prefer. She seems like an honest paralegal, somebody who really pays attention to details, and somebody who sees the best in the attorney she's working for. Unfortunately, her suspicions were correct, that he was not being so honest. I would hate to work for an attorney like this. I mean, it would implicate you in 1,000 different ways.
I like her.
I like her too. I mean, it's
I like her a
shitty.
lot.
He dragged her into this. He dragged the other, you know, everybody in that law firm who was, you know, unsuspecting. He got them to do their dirty work for him, and it's kind of appalling.
Yeah. And And she's credible. And this goes to the opposite of motive to kill. I don't get this because he's been able to explain his way out of all of these red flags for a decade. So why would just one person make him freak out and kill his family?
Exhibit 440.
I don't know, but I'm more interested in this than anything else that's happened so far.
I'm not going into any content whether or not
I'm
you
watching.
recognize that particular document.
I do. It's a text strand between myself and Vicki Lyman.
And is this what is the date on that particular text strand?
June 2nd, and then it runs into June 3rd.
And is that 2021?
Yes, I'm sorry, 2021.
Is this a text thread where y'all are discussing the things that you described here today?
Yeah, I told her I just, don't mention anything.
Hold on, just real quick.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Y'all are describing what we're talking about here today?
That is correct.
All right, Your Honor.
There's
this
all
time
being
I'll-
used
I'll
in the
move text
singular.
440 into evidence.
Your Honor, object on hearsay grounds. It doesn't fall within an exception to the hearsay rule.
See the document.
Are they hearsay papers?
Here, say this.
I couldn't resist throwing a little Johnny Depp in there.
What, if anything? Legal
What
Vices,
if I
you should
think it's-
reintroduce Chandler to us. What part of Korea is she from? She's not part of the Korea crew. She's an amazing
would be fun to know.
paralegal on the
On
west
that
coast of the
particular day?
United States who has an
I did.
amazing Twitter channel to which you want to get to and you want
I
to
told
subscribe.
her that when I gave her time to get back from vacation, and I just
REMYCRH.
basically texted her with my
And
concerns and told her how
got
stressed
a
out
YouTube
I
channel
had
in the
been
making.
over this
so
situation
stand
and
by.
how I was hoping
In
my
the making.
suspicion was wrong, but
Thanks, Jeff.
I was really stressed out. And unfortunately, my daughter, me and Vicki had talked on the phone. Vicki had called me as well, and unfortunately, my daughter had overheard me too. So she instantly got really worried for me. And my daughter said, "Mom, you need to go ahead and get your resume because once you
You're
turn
gonna
all
have a
this in,
job."
they may fire you."
Oh,
So she was very concerned for me.
And this,
they'd fire the
latest email on
whistleblower.
screen,
Not
that was
that,
June 2nd, 2021.
not that your
That's
boss is
correct.
going to jail. Wow.
You recall June 7th, 2021.
I do.
Was that a Monday?
It was.
Were you at work that day?
I was.
Did the defendant come to work that day?
He did. He came in probably around lunchtime. I can't remember if he came in before lunch or after, but somewhere in that time frame.
Did you see Jeannie Seconder that day?
I did. Jeannie had already told me that she was going to talk to Alec about the Ferris e-checks that were missing. She was going to go and talk to him about them that day. And so she asked me to let her know when he got into the office. So when he got to the office, I reached out to her to let her know.
And did she come up to your area?
She did. And we have open style offices, no doors on the secretary's offices. So she had to pass by me to get Alec's office. So I saw her when she was walking past.
Did she give you any look when she walked past?
She did. It was kind of just like that, just kind of a raised eyebrow, like wish me luck, here goes nothing kind of look, like hope, because we were both just, like I said, wanting to get answers and
Get answers about what?
about those missing checks and figure out what was going on.
Where did she go after she gave you that look?
I heard Alec's doors closed, so out to him.
This is what day?
This is June 7th, 2021.
Did she come out after?
She did, and she didn't stop. She just hurried by my desk and she went on about her business.
Did you have any conversation yourself about the Ferris fees with the defendant that day?
Don't recall having any discussion with him on that day. At that point, I turned, Jeannie had everything and it was kind of in her hands.
What time do you think you left work that day?
I left at 5:15 that day.
Is that your normal time?
It's not. I typically work later. Alec always tend to work nights, and me and Christy tend to kind of adapt to his schedule a little bit and work a little later than 5 o'clock. Most of the time we were there till 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Oh, so late. You poor baby.
When you left the office on June 7th, 2021 at 5:15, was the defendant still there?
He was.
Did you go home? Eventually went home?
Yes.
Just a normal night?
Yeah, I went straight home that night.
Did that change at some point?
Yes, definitely. My phone was on silence and I slept through a bunch of text messages and calls. I woke up in the middle of the night and my phone was just full and I was like, what is going on? And so I'm looking through the text messages. They don't make a lot of sense. I see I have a voicemail message from Randy MURDAUGH. And so I checked the voicemail and I could tell he was upset and crying. And he said, Annette, please call me when you can. It doesn't matter what time. And so I don't remember what time it was, but it was sometime in the middle of the night and I called him.
That's interesting.
And he told me, well, when he answered the phone, he was upset, obviously. And I said, Randy, what's wrong? And he said, it's bad, Annette. It's real bad. And I said, oh no, Mr. Randolph passed. And he said, no, it's not Dad. It's Maggie and Paul. And I said, what? And he said,
this
they've been
is
shot and
hearsay.
murdered. And I said, what? And it was just,
It's all hearsay.
it was very overwhelming. We both cried on the phone with each other. And you know, obviously the first thing I did was say, oh my God, how is Alec? You know, how is he? Is he okay? Where's Buster? Is Buster okay? I was very concerned. You know, I had a million thoughts running in my head. I was like, are you guys safe? You know, is this something aimed at the entire family? You know, and I was very,
well, it was
very
aimed
worried
at 2/3 of the family.
Alec and Buster and Randy and his family and the entire MURDAUGH family. So it was very overwhelming.
Over the 9 years of working closely for the defendant, did you also get to know his family, Maggie and Paul and Buster?
I did.
Did Randy work for the firm?
Is this firm pretty tight knit?
I don't think so.
Okay.
What was the reaction of the people in the firm to this?
I don't know. Maybe if you tell me his nickname, I'll know.
There was two reactions. First was scared. We were like, please lock our doors. You know, we're scared. Who is this aimed at? Is it a client retaliating? Is it?
Don't say that. Oh my God, you just
Alec, is it aimed at the firm? We didn't know. We just had so many
let's see where
questions,
she goes
no
with it.
answers, a million thoughts running through our heads. We were just there, you know, supporting each other and
She just gave the
helping one another
defense a
through this
huge
grieving
weapon right there.
process. And
Oh,
at
so
the
you were
same time,
concerned this
we were
may
very
have been
protective over
clients
Alec
that
and
were out to
Randy.
get
We
the-
wouldn't let them leave the office if strange cars were driving
We'll
around.
see what they
We'd
do with
say,
it on cross
"Don't
and how
walk
she
out yet.
reacts.
There's a white car that's went around 3 times." I mean, we were in
She could hold
complete
her own.
mama bear mode. We didn't want them to go out and have to talk to reporters. We didn't want them to have to run out and run into anybody. And we were scared for them. We were very protective. I mean, anything suspicious out the window, we were on high alert.
Said, what kind of mode?
Mama bear mode,
Mama bear protecting who?
protecting Alec and Randy.
Did the law firm community rally to the aid of the defendant?
They did.
Oh, Randy is Randolph, the partner.
Is that
Okay.
the primary focus on everybody's mind
Oh,
in the aftermath?
absolutely.
Thank you, Kizzy.
Were you at all concerned about finding out what happened to these Ferris fees after that happened?
What Ferris fees?
What Ferris fees?
Yeah, what Ferris fees? And that was
What
the
Pharisees?
furthest thing on my mind.
Nice,
Closed captioning is a little odd.
nice closed caption. What Pharisees? The ones that killed Jesus?
That's
Those?
the last time you really
It's a little
thought about
biblical
it
up in here.
any aspect until September of 2021.
It is, yes, sir.
And you were more focused on helping this defendant and his family in the aftermath of this tragedy that had happened.
Yes. And everybody was so supportive. I mean, some of the associate attorneys stepped up and they came up to me and Christy and said, hey, you know, if you need anything over the next few weeks, you need us to review a file for you, get something else, sign it and get it out the door. We're here for you guys 100%. So it wasn't, you know, we were supportive. And then we had other folks in the office that were coming up to us, supporting us as well, because they knew we were at a standstill. What do we do? You know, because we
She's
knew
like, I
obviously
think I
he
need
was
a new
not going to be
job.
the same and not be himself for quite a while.
I asked you earlier about the boat case. before the murders, when the boat case happened, had there been some reaction and backlash in the community against the defendant and his family after the boat case?
Yes, it was very difficult because Hampton being a small town, we all know each other and we all know both sides for the most part. For instance, Mallory Beach, her father is my first cousin. So Mallory Beach.
Everybody's related. Everybody
Felt like I was in between a rock and a hard place because, you know, her family is, you know, beyond heartbroken over the loss of her. And then,
oh my God.
And I know some of them didn't like the idea that I was still working at the firm, but I was still, to me, it was two separate entities. This is my job. This was my family. And I had to keep them separate. I didn't want any part of the boat wreck case. I didn't want to know any details or anything because, like I said, I was keeping my family life and my work life separate.
That's tough. That's really tough.
After the murders, you said the law firm community, though, rallied to Alex's aid, correct?
Absolutely. Everybody.
Did the larger community do as well?
Yes, they did.
After the murders?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that after those murders happened, what Ferris fees? They were the farthest thing from your mind, correct?
Yes, sir.
When did they come back to your attention?
September 2nd, it was a Thursday in the afternoon, and I was looking for a file in the file cabinet, and I was unable to locate it. And lots of times if, you know, Alec's talking to a client on the phone, he'll yell for a file and we'll take it to him. So I was like, oh, it's probably in his office. So I went to his office to look for the file. And when I found it, I picked it up. And when I did, a check kind of floated like a feather to the ground. And when I bent over to pick it up, I saw the check and what it said and had on it. And I instantly became very upset because it happened to be one of the checks from the Ferris case that didn't exist.
And what did you see on the check that let you know that stuck out in your mind?
It was from Chris Wilson's office. It was written to Richard Alexander Murdaugh. And at the bottom, it said Ferris fees. And it was dated March.
So what did you realize of that?
I said, he's been lying this whole time. He had these funds. He lied to me. Oh, that feeling in the back of my mind was correct. Unfortunately, he did take these funds because when I flipped the check over, I also saw that he had deposited by mobile deposit, and I can't remember if he signed the back of the check or if it just said mobile deposit only.
Let me show you States 313, see if you recognize that. It's already in evidence.
Yes, sir. That's the check that I found on September 2nd.
Right. And if you flick up one side and the other side.
Yeah, it's got his signature, Bank of America deposit.
Okay, so he's stealing funds, but why is this? And
Yes,
remember, all of this is to prove the motive. He had motive to kill his family. So after every witness, or even after every sentence of every witness, you have to add the conclusion. And so therefore, he had motive to kill his wife and son. This is all bullshit.
When that check fluttered down, you picked it up.
I did.
You saw that? Where did you take it? Did you take it anywhere?
Yeah, I went back to my desk, and you can imagine all the emotions that I was feeling at this point. You know, I was hurt. I was angry. I just was beside myself, and I was a bit enraged too, because I asked him so many times. There were so many times that I felt like we could have clarified this and got it taken care of, but here it is from March to September, and I find this check that supposedly did not exist. And so I went to my desk, I called Jeannie, and I was like, I just found something. And she said, oh shit, what did you find? And I said, are you busy? And she said, come on over. And I went over and closed her door and threw the check at her. And she was like, is this one? I said, yeah, that's one of the Ferris checks that doesn't exist.
Now, see, if he would have killed her, I would understand this being motive to kill
anything else, or
her.
start doing anything else when you came down with that check?
I didn't know it until I took her the check. But when I took her the check, she was like, yeah, I just ran a report yesterday. And she said, one of the attorneys is going to call Michael Gunn later today. And I said, well, what do you mean? And that's when she told me that she thinks there's some more stuff too back to my suspicion with Hirschberger and Thomas Moore. She pulled a report and she found out that we may have other issues of stolen funds. But I was not aware of any of that. I didn't know that she was looking into it again. I didn't know any of that until I took her the check and she said she had just started doing stuff within the last few days.
Within a few days of this happening, what happened to the defendant's employment at the law firm?
He was fired the next day.
And did the law firm engage in a review process to determine the extent of any alleged?
Yes, we've had months upon months of going through all of the files and finding, just following the numbers and making notes on everything. And lots of hours, lots of manpower involved in this process of putting everything together, and just in awe of how much was happening, and we had no idea about it.
And without going through all the exhibits that we're going through with Jeannie Seconder, but she was the one, or one of the central ones in doing that review. Is that correct?
Of course, yes.
And without going through each one, is a lot of those disbursements for the fake forge account, those were disbursements that the defendant told you to put on there?
That's correct.
Are those a lot of those disbursements one where he corrected you and said, no, don't put forge consulting, put forge?
Yes, they were.
A lot of those checks, ones where he said, oh, I'm going to see Michael Gunn later. I'll take the check myself.
Yeah, they were all for him.
Okay, you unmuted yourself. You hadn't muted your mic. We heard your conversation with your cat.
Oh, sorry about that.
So Aaron said Chandler is the youngest boomer I've seen so far.
Thank you.
AP says it's a corncob pipe. No, this is a meerschaum stone pipe. It's carved by a Turkish master carver.
That's incredible.
It's made from like a stone that comes from the seaside of Turkey.
Well, that is a beautiful pipe. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'm impressed. I might take up smoking.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, why not? Did I miss anything? Did he kill him? Did he do it? Did we prove it?
Not yet. Not yet.
I love this witness. I love her testimony. I don't think it's going to get us there, but I'm really interested in hearing what she has to say. I will say,
marked as Exhibit 441.
Yes, Surfing Bird. That is a skull with a beard.
Recognize that document.
Yes, this text message that Alex sent.
What were you going to say? Sorry,
to me and Christy on September 26th.
Tell you later.
When he was in 2021, when he was in rehab, is my understanding.
All right. Your Honor, this time I'd offer States 441 into evidence. I believe without objection.
No objection.
Submitted without objection.
I was going to say, I think the jury has heard a lot of rumors about financial stuff.
We do have the 403 objection and subject to the court prior ruling on this.
I haven't seen the exhibit. I don't.
Yes.
I think it's good to lay this all out for them so that they can see what it consists of.
Please do not discuss the case.
All right, they're going to take a little bit of a break here. Is the judge going to talk to us? Or is it actually going to be a jury break?
I don't know, but I do anyway. So what I just wanted to say about all of that is, like, I completely agree with you. I don't think this is going to get us there. However, I think that laying out all the financial stuff so that people can see what it is, what it consists of, can substantiate it to the point where I'm sure that jury, I mean, look, like everybody who's testifying, like they're cousins with this person, they're cousins with that person. You have to believe that, the people on the jury, the 12 that they narrowed it down to, and the alternates, like they've got to know some stuff. It's not like they've never heard of the family. It's not like they've never heard of the financial crimes. So laying it out there and having people testify to exactly what that means, it can dispel some of the bias potentially. What do you think? Do you think that, I mean, am I onto something there, or do you disagree?
Yes, sir, Mr.
You may be.
Griffin.
Oh, never mind. It was just a stretch.
Just preserving our prior objections on 404B evidence under 404B and 403. It's nothing new. I just forgot to state no additional objections than what we've already had in this line of testimony, which is this is the same line of testimony of financial misconduct. That's all.
Mr. Waters?
And I just clarified, I think, with defense counsel that he was not adding a specific 403 objection to that. It's just the prior objection. However, this is a text from the defendant to this witness in this particular instance. Certainly, it can be read, and then there's no hearsay issue because obviously it's a statement of a party opponent, and it certainly also is relevant because it can
really Flux. YouTube isn't letting a super chat
to the various things that are at issue.
I think everybody should try to super chat me all at once
for
to
that
see if
reason,
that's a thing.
And there's certainly the probative value of an admission is certainly, I would argue, is the probative value of that is not substantially outweighed by the danger of any unfair prejudice.
Okay,
it introduces another issue, the issue of drug use, and I think the witness testified that he was in rehab. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
That he was in rehab and sent an email, and
yes, this witness is in front of the jury. The jury is not here right now. They're arguing her testimony, particularly the part dealing with his drug use, is prejudicial, way more prejudicial than probative of whether or not he had motive to commit the crime.
Did they object to? Did they ask questions about the drug use, or did she just bring it up?
I just want to be clear from the defense, the part of it,
I think she said something about
testimony that
pills.
establishes through this witness that he was in rehab, that is not a basis for your objection.
We do have, yes, we do object to evidence of his drug use and to be included in this, and we would ask that that document be redacted to the extent it references rehab at this time.
I concur.
It doesn't specifically mention drug use. So have you all reviewed
Why else
the
would you go to
exhibit?
rehab?
And tell me if you have no objection based on the fact that he sent it while in rehab, then
Testing, is this thing working? No, it's not working. I think more people need to check.
Bad acts.
Try it again. Maybe 7 times, 8 times.
Yeah, it's not working yet. Keep trying.
Work on it. We'll get there.
I snorted. Oh my God.
No, I thought that was Yoda or Strawberry, one of them.
Yeah, I mean, there has been other testimony about him taking pills and things, but who knows why. It's kind of stupid to let this in.
I don't think that it's relevant, and even though the financial stuff I think might be a little bit relevant, I see where they're going with it, and I see why they're including it. I don't think that the drug stuff is relevant. Because
and if I recall, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It also can't be proven.
Objections, Your Honor, we would, because this does raise.
Well, if I recall correctly, he went into rehab 2 days after the fake suicide that he attempted.
At some point in time.
And he shaved his head so that nobody could test his hair. Or so I've heard.
That
means he probably shaved his junk too.
He says I'm getting better every day.
Just food for thought.
Mental images that I don't want to be experiencing right now, Jeff. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, Mr. Waters.
Your Honor, I mean, he doesn't expressly say that. I would point out that the issue of pills has already come up a few times in this trial. I'm not trying to go there, but it is, when we talk about 404 and res geste, it is kind of part and parcel of a lot of things. I mean, even the defense has examined, I believe, Ms. Seconder on the issue of pills. And on top of that, we had Chris Wilson, who testified in camera, who will also testify here today. One of the things he says when he had that confrontation with the defendant on the the afternoon, I believe it was September 4th, that the defendant said, yeah, I've been stealing money and I've been hooked on pills for a while. So this is a bridge I think we have to cross at some point. The state is not trying to gild the lily with that, but at least, with these various witnesses, it is part of what they're being said. As far as that specific exhibit, though, Your Honor, there's no express reference to drugs or anything like that, and it certainly is.
Well, you don't go to rehab because you like cheesecake.
It's very probative and very relevant and admissible for that reason.
AA
Well, my
Ron says,
concern,
Flux, keep trying to
obviously,
super
is
chat. Clearly, super chat doesn't
that
work. You should keep
we do
trying.
not, or that I do
You know,
not
that doesn't seem to
allow
be working.
testimony involving these admissions to bleed so far into the character 403 that it has the effect of undoing the 404 analysis. A lot of testimony has come in unobjected to that touches upon the defendant's character. That's why I want to be clear on what the objection is.
Your Honor, just from the state's perspective, we are trying to, walk that line. I mean, there's a lot of the financial stuff we're not even seeking to admit. I think that, we've limited it to things that had that connection that we discussed in camera. So, I'm not trying to gild the lily.
I'm not sure what that means.
That's a phrase I learned from Chief Justice Toll over the years. I guess that means, piling on, I guess, is a way to do that. And again, I don't have, we recognize the situation we're in and trying obviously not to get out over our skis from what the admissibility of that the court has already ruled on.
Yeah, that's not the most flattering color for her.
Ponder it while we take our break.
Would advise her
We'll
to
be
wear
in
darker
recess
colors.
for about 15 minutes, ma'am. You may step down. Do not discuss your testimony.
All right, there we go. 15-minute break.
All right, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking you should grift yourself here a little bit, Chandler. Introduce
Well, I don't have a
yourself
lot
to
to
the
grift
crowd.
with yet. All right. So for everybody who's just joining us, my name is Chandler Remington. I'm a paralegal from Los Angeles, California, born and raised. My area of legal experience is entertainment law. I'm also very interested in becoming an attorney eventually. And so I'm really interested in intellectual property law, specifically pertaining to things like, film, music, copywriting scripts. That's my area. And I'm just very interested in trial watching. This is my third YouTube appearance ever, and I'm very happy to be here with you guys. And I'm very happy to be here with Legal Vices, who has like the coolest pipe that I've ever seen. That was very impressive. I have never seen a pipe like that.
Stick around long enough, and you'll see my pipe collection. I have some good stuff. I have some cool pipes. I'm kind of proud of them.
Well, anyway, yeah, no, I just have Twitter right now. I am good friends with Legally Dirty Blondes.
Really lean into this in the sense of
shut up.
And
There we go. Law and crime, not you.
YouTube channel.
I'm talking to law and crime, not you. Definitely you don't shut up. There's a YouTube channel in the making, so you're not going to want to miss that when it happens.
We're gonna get it up and running. My good friend Legally Dirty Blonde, who has an incredible podcast, which you guys should all go and check out. She and I are really good friends, and I came on here because of Legal Mindset. We both appeared on Legal Mindset. We, got to know Legal Vices. I'm just, this is a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this. I don't know how everybody's feeling about the trial right now. I mean, what do you think? Like, today's a little more interesting, maybe?
Not really.
No.
Just wait until you see Jeff's bong. I don't have a bong. We don't do that stuff here in Korea. There is literally in Korea there is zero difference. I mean, marijuana. There's like essentially no difference between like marijuana and crack cocaine. It's just drugs are drugs here, and you will go away for an incredibly long time.
I feel very sad for you. Very sad. That's I mean, in California, you can, you can walk in and buy weed like it's, like a pack of cigarettes, basically. Like if you're 18 and you have an ID, go for it, get whatever you want, go crazy.
Nope, we don't do that here.
We're blessed. We're lucky. We're very fortunate in California.
Yeah, that does not happen here. That's for sure.
But you got your tobacco, and you've got your your good whiskey, and then you have your Fireball, which
I got my Fireball whiskey, exactly.
There wasn't much left in that bottle. I'm hoping you shared with somebody because I can't.
Oh God, no! This is
hard to stomach.
Probably 4 years old.
Oh my God.
I occasionally put a splash in like around Christmas when I'm making eggnog, or if I want to like spice up a spicy rum, I'll just put a little splash in it, like a rum Coke or a dark and stormy. I'll just put a splash in to kind of give it a little cinnamon kick. But yeah,
I could see that. Yeah, I didn't know that you did mixed drinks. I thought that you were just a whiskey guy.
I like some good cocktails. Nicholas Starov, Union Rep Labor Law, says, "Yeah, I got nothing. Just wanted to send you $5 so you can stock up on booze for our Viking drink off."
That's going to go a long way, my friend.
Yeah.
That $5. I mean, that can take you from middle shelf to like a little bit upper shelf.
Thank you so much for that. AA Ron says, "Union Rep, skull to that." I don't have. Hang on. Got to use our. We're having some Sangsum Thai rum in honor of Andrew, who is in Thailand as we speak. So.
Oh, he is. That's awesome.
Yes. So we're doing a little Thai rum here without him. So, skull to you, Nicholas.
Skull.
In fact, I spilled half of that down here. Oh, wait a minute. Super chats doesn't work. I didn't get that. Never mind. You didn't see that. Super chat is broken. Yes, Marv White. I don't get super chats. I didn't see this message. I think people need to continue sending them. I'm sorry. I'm not grifting for super chat. I'm joking.
He's not getting any of the money. You need to keep sending money. That's how it works.
I'm just joking. I'm not grifting for super chats. It's all in good fun. I'm just joking and yucking it up here. Yeah, he stole money. So did he kill 2 people? Again, that's what we're looking at. You have to answer every one of these questions. But okay, so yeah, he stole some money. He embezzled some money from the funds. So how does that? What is the motivation between embezzling money from the firm and killing his wife and son? Like I was saying, it would make sense if he killed her. She knows about it. Kill her, so they have to start from scratch. The CFO, she gave testimony outside the presence of the jury. Whack the CFO. That would make sense. But to go, okay, they're finding out about some of my financial things, so therefore I killed my wife and favorite son. It's just not there.
It's really not. I mean, the interesting thing about this trial, the scope is very expansive, and that's not typical. And that's why it is like kind of similar to the Depp trial, except it's way less interesting. So they're bringing in all of this stuff that like could mean something, that could create an implication, but it's just, we're not getting there, and it's really frustrating. And I feel like we're all hanging in for something, you know. I mean, who knows? Maybe prosecution's going to do an amazing job on cross when defense starts their case. But I don't know. I haven't seen it so far.
Well,
can we have hope for this trial? Like, can something happen that we will be compelled by, or that we can discuss with genuine interest?
I think if something was going to happen that we could be compelled by, it would have happened. And they wouldn't need to put on all this financial stuff. Even the judge yesterday, when we were listening, said this is a circumstantial case.
Yes, he did.
And when the judge is saying it's a circumstantial case, the judge is essentially acknowledging there's no direct evidence that he committed the crime.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. It's a significant statement by the judge, I would think. And if the jury heard that,
and literally the only thing they've directly proved is he owns lots of guns. None of them were involved in the killing. There's no fingerprints on any of the shell casings that were found at the crime scene. There's no fingerprints on any of the shells in his house.
There's no blood on him.
Shells or the cartridge cases. There's no fingerprints on the magazines. They didn't test the doorknobs in the dog kennel where the murders occurred for fingerprints. They didn't test. No. She said they didn't test the doorknob or any. The criminologist said they didn't test anything that that a killer might have come in contact with, other than the bodies and the shell casings, essentially. They've testified that there's a blue raincoat that has nothing to do with it, that may have been in the closet for 100 billion years. Everything that they have proved objectively is proof that he didn't do this.
Pretty much. I feel like there would be more blood evidence. I mean, I'm really disappointed by the lack of blood evidence. Where's the blood?
You're disappointed by the lack of blood.
Well, I mean, they said that, whoever killed Paul was standing 3 feet away from him. They would have been covered in blood. Where is the blood? Where's the blood evidence? Did he do it naked? I mean, that would be, maybe
weird.
Kind of, it would be weird. It's been done before.
True.
But no, I mean, I remember a case. But I'm not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. Like, he's a bad man. He's a bad man. We can play that that song from whatever Broadway show. But like that doesn't mean that he killed his family. He might have killed somebody else. He might have, covered up stuff. Like I don't know, but we haven't seen evidence of it. So
Well, and that's
it's just not
exactly
happening.
what the prosecution's trying to do in their circumstantial evidence case, saying this guy owns a lot of really big, scary guns, some of which are like the ones that committed the murder.
I mean, how many of those jury members do you think own guns just like he does?
Yeah.
As many go hunting. I mean, how many of those people on the jury have gunshot residue on them right now while they're sitting in that jury box? Because they've gone out hunting and they didn't properly wash their raincoats or whatever.
Yeah.
There's probably gunshot residue all over the entire county of South Carolina.
It's a hunting lodge. These murders were committed at a hunting lodge right across the little street, the little roadway where the dog kennels are, is the gun range. They were finding spent casings in the dog's bed, for fuck's sakes.
I know.
And
And then the stuff with the
feel free to be
ballistics, like the
cursy. We're
bullets.
after the 2-hour mark, so.
Oh, fabulous! Fuck.
Exactly. Yeah. So
That's right.
there's
Bullshit.
literally a shooting range across the street. He's got a gun room in the house. It's a hunting lodge. They have quails in a little hutch that they use for hunting, for guests to go out and go, pew, oh, I killed a quail. I'm a big bad hunter.
The jury's not going to recoil. The jury's probably going, home and like killing a few hogs and ducks and doves and whatever.
After consuming Fireball, of course.
Swans. They'll kill anything out there. It's normal.
Yeah.
I'm from California. We don't really do that. Like, okay, I'm from Southern California. I know Northern California, it's a little bit redder. It's a little bit more, there's definitely more guns, but no, down here we don't do that.
SoCal, you just kill people.
Yeah, I mean okay. There's a lot of other gun violence here, but
yeah. But yeah, I mean this is a hunting community. It's a hunting town. It's a small town in South Carolina. There's 45,000 people in the county.
Yeah, it's very small.
Everybody's gonna have guns. Everybody's gonna be packing. But everybody's gonna be hunting. I mean,
with each other.
And this is just the way it was in my hometown. I mean, I grew up in a town where there's more cows than people. It's just what you do. You go hunting, you go shooting. And the fact that all this, he had one particle of gunshot residue on him.
Okay, that was interesting. So did they say that there was one particle of gunshot residue on the buckle of the seatbelt, and that was all that they found on the seatbelt?
I can't remember if it was the seatbelt or his shirt or what. He had like 38 particles on his shirt. But anyway, there's like
it was
almost
38
nothing.
particles. So there were 38 particles on the raincoat.
Tarp, yeah,
raincoat. on the raincoat. And I believe that consisted of, it was 26 on the inside and 12 on the outside, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. And then my understanding, unless I got this wrong, was because they made this big deal. They even said it in the opening statement. Like there was gunshot powder residue on the seatbelt in his car. There was one fucking particle on the buckle. That's amazing, considering how often that family hunted. I mean, Paul and his friends were going out shooting everything that moved in the middle of the night. They had those night vision scopes that could see whatever was moving, with like the heat sensor or whatever. I don't know how that works. But the fact that I'm surprised there wasn't more gunshot residue all over everything.
No, I absolutely, I am totally down with that. Because like I said, it's a hunting lodge, and even he was saying, there was earlier testimony that the morning of the day of the murders, he was out shooting with Paul.
Yep, I had not heard that before, and I think that's really significant. I mean, honestly, I really liked Defense's line when they did cross, when they were saying, well, doesn't gunshot powder residue, can it theoretically stay on something for years and years and years if you don't rinse it off or wash it off or whatever? Like, it'll stay there. Who knows when that gunshot powder residue is from? It could be from 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing in this whole, how is this mysterious way there was gunshot residue on the inside of the raincoat? As I was harping on there for a minute, you have it on the outside of your clothes. It starts raining. You put the rain poncho on. and it transfers from your shirt to the inside of the raincoat. I don't understand
there you go.
this. That, you know, I mean,
I thought drunken hog hunting was the reasonable explanation for that, but your explanation is a lot more sound. Not as entertaining, but
Yeah.
it makes more sense.
Although
Theoretically, both could be true in this strange world of, you know, Hampton, South Carolina, or, you know, Moselle, or what, you know, Moselle was in Islington, something like that.
Well, AP, it has a shelf life. Gunshot residue degrades over time, just like particle. It wouldn't. She just testified. The gun residue expert, the gunshot residue expert, said that it could technically be there 100 years from now. I mean, it's carbon, a little bit of sulfur, maybe whatever the hell goes into gunpowder, is sitting there. I mean, it's not going to disappear if it's been wrapped up in a rain poncho and stuffed in a closet for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It'll still be there.
If you could test the date of it, like, you know, how long it's been there, if it degrades, then theoretically would they not have testified to that?
Yeah.
Would they not have testified, you know, that there's a way of telling how long the gunpowder residue has been on something? Like, even if she said, if it's been there for more than 10 years, it would turn purple, or, you know, something like that, you know.
Does carbon have a half-life? No. I mean, like, carbon is just there. I don't know. You know,
well, there's radiocarbon dating, but that's a little bit different. I don't know. I was an anthropology major. None of what I know applies to this case whatsoever.
She's not a fucking expert. She's a goddamn lab tech. Same thing in this case, anyway.
I don't know. Maybe I'm having more fun today because
I love her, says Flux.
I think I'm having more fun because I'm enjoying seeing a paralegal testify, just because, you know, I don't know. I feel like kinship with any and all paralegals. It's a particular kind of job. So I liked hearing from her, and I think that she's a really credible witness. She's more interesting to listen to. What did you think of their method of questioning her? Like, do you feel, because I feel like they're all over the place a little bit, but they were a little bit more cohesive, perhaps?
Well, it's scattered, but the prosecution wasn't as aggressive towards her as they are with other witnesses.
Yeah, I noticed that. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Probably because she had something that they knew they wanted, and they knew she would cooperate.
Job done well says carbon-14. Carbon-14 has a half-life, but that's how we do carbon dating using carbon-14. And it's like, essentially, it has carbon-14 has half-life measured, in hundreds of millions of years?
Yeah. I mean, you can measure, I mean, it's like you can tell if something was here from before 1950, based on the, you know, like nuclear testing, and presence of nuclear, subatomic particles, but that's irrelevant, completely irrelevant to what we're talking about. I mean, this shooting happened in 2021. So, you know, we're not going to get something like that.
Everything that they've testified today has been irrelevant to whether or not he committed murders, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. But at least it's less boring. I mean, I got really tired of hearing from all the SLED agents going, I opened the baggie, and, you know, but I don't know anything else. Ask this guy. Oh, I put the swabs in, but I don't know anything else. Like, that gets really old.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think the jury's got to be hating this. And I wonder if the pennies dropped yet, that they're going to be here for another month rather than another 2 days like they'd originally had planned.
Is that an official? Did they actually figure that out and make that statement? I'm not sure if I might have missed that.
The trial was scheduled to end the day after tomorrow.
Yes.
And the prosecution still hasn't even rested their case. Now they've got they testified for a week about all of this stuff that should be let in outside the presence of the jury. The judge lets it in. So all of that is coming in, plus anything else related to that they want to add. The court was estimating another 3 weeks of the prosecution. So this could easily go for another month.
Oh, God.
And these jurors are going to be pissed. And when they find out it's all about it's all delayed because the prosecution wants to talk about financial crimes. Maybe if I was a juror, you know, I would be extraordinarily pissed off at the prosecution. They're wasting my time. I have to be there for another month and possibly lose my job because these guys want to talk about he was kiting checks from somewhere.
I mean, it's already come out that, one juror had to go to the ER And I really hope that they're okay.
Wait, what?
I
I
hope...
missed that.
Oh yeah, no, that was so I believe that was yesterday that like they had two jurors who had issues. One of them said he was going to be able to resolve stuff with work, but apparently there were problems there. And then the other one had to go to the ER. It was an alternate. And
Okay.
and honestly, if I were a juror, I might fake having to go to the ER. I hope that person is okay, but I might be like, I'm sorry, my appendix is bursting. I have to leave. I can't do this anymore.
Oh, I see. I don't have any idea of anything that happened yesterday. Can you
That was
enlighten
something
us?
the judge was discussing that right before I was reviewing the day's events and I actually fell asleep. But I did hear that from the judge. It was just those two jurors. There were issues. One of them had a problem with work, and then but said he would be able to figure it out. So we were missing an alternate yesterday. The alternate was not there for the testimony. So presumably that juror is out. So we only have one alternate now. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I don't know how many of them are going to allow.
Well, they started out with 6 alternates. What happened to 5 of them?
Oh, my apologies. For some reason I thought there were 2 alternates. No, they are missing an alternate.
Yeah,
so
there's 6 alternates.
We're down an alternate. So
I'm thinking, mistrial coming. We've run out of jurors.
It's a thing. I'm not a lawyer yet, but I will be one day. And I know that lawyers are bad at math, so at least I have that part down. I'm really bad.
You're ready.
I like math, but I'm not good at it. I like other people to do it for me.
Yeah, it scares me.
I mean, I hear what you're saying about the jurors being like pissed off about hearing to have all of this other stuff. But if I were a juror and I were sitting there and I were incredibly bored, I would at least be intrigued by the financial stuff because it's kind of juicy and it's kind of fun to listen to compared to all of the other stuff. Just saying.
Well, that's what the prosecution's hoping is that they go, oh my God, he's done so many bad things. He's stolen so much money. Well, he probably murdered people too.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
at this
what they're
point, it's
hoping
like,
they'll conclude.
this is no longer a murder trial. This is just like, let's critique this man and, throw him under the bus for everything we possibly can, for all of these crimes that he has not been convicted of yet. And I kind of wish they had done this later, like after he'd been convicted of some stuff.
That's what Jenna was saying too. I no longer think this is a murder trial, but the financial trial now.
Yeah,
Well, this
we
is definitely a trial run.
I wonder if Harpootlian is going to be representing him for all of the other cases. He probably will.
Probably, yeah. All right, looks like they're back.
Oh yeah.
Looks like it.
Exhibit number 441. I find that it is admissible under.
Of course, it's admissible. Mr. Judge
admissible.
let everything in.
Everything's admissible.
However, the portion of it that says, when I get out of here is problematic. If the defense would like that portion of it redacted, that would suggest that he's in rehab and when he gets out of here, he's going to do this or that. We can redact that portion. If the defense does not wish to have that portion redacted, the exhibit will come in its entirety.
Your Honor, here's where we find ourselves on the defense side. His drug addiction and drug use is frankly res gestae to the alleged criminal conduct on the financial fraud. And it's hard for us on the defense side, it didn't really get flushed out in our in-camera hearing because they didn't put evidence up of this, but it's something that we all knew. But it is part and parcel of the financial crimes, and it explains why he did what he did. And it does
it though?
In a way, pile on and make it even more prejudicial. And so when considering that, Your Honor, what we would ask is we want to renew our motion, object to all the financial crimes. Now that we know drug use is coming in the midst of it, because it is res gestae, it does tell the entire story. And we would ask the court to strike all the financial testimony the court's heard thus far, and let's proceed with a murder trial.
That motion is denied.
Thank you.
But the portion, the court admits this document and will redact that portion if requested by the defense. Do you want to redact the portion that suggests that he was in rehab? as part of the res gestae may even be part of your defense. I don't know. The state is offering evidence, and
redacted. We would request it.
Res
Whenever we
gestae
get
is
these
it's a
404B witness testimony that the court
it's a
provide a limiting.
it's a procedural thing. It sort of means like
I'm not
the beginning to the end of a felony that was committed, all of the parts and pieces of it.
Testimony. The court has given the limited instruction.
I was going to ask the
We'll do
definition
so
of
at
that
the end of the
term.
case as
Yeah.
well.
It's not one
And
I've
there
heard
may be
before.
other
I know a little bit.
instances, but not at
And it's
every
an
juncture
exception to
where
hearsay.
evidence is
It just
being
means like things that have been done relating to the felon.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this exhibit is admitted.
Good to know for everybody. who's
So
watching.
it's like a declaration that proves the event happened. I mean, things like that. It's
Bring the jury.
It's one of those stupid Latin phrases that we don't talk about. Now, while the jury's coming in, just a thing here. Again, I don't want to monopolize all of your time, Chandler, but as a SoCal native, I'm assuming you're a SoCal native. As someone who lives in SoCal, every Thursday I do a retrospective on the O.J. Simpson trial, where we watch parts of the O.J. Simpson trial, and we've been going off on Barry Scheck's cross-examination of L.A. criminologist Dennis Fung for the past month or so, and we're going to pick that right up tomorrow if you're free and interested.
That sounds very interesting. I actually am interested. Let's see, what am I doing tomorrow? I'm going to look at my calendar. What time would that be for me in California?
Probably the same time, 6 a.m.
Okay.
Usually
I'm
I start
not-
at 5, but I'm thinking a little bit later than, I'm thinking I like the start time of 9 a.m. Eastern. But the cross-examination of Dennis Fung by Barry Scheck, as like legal scholars and things have said it's one of the greatest cross-examinations in history since the Scopes Monkey trial. And Clarence Darrow was up. Yeah, I mean, it is fantastic. It's one of the most amazing things. And I was watching this when it happened during law school, during my second and third year of law school when the O.J. Simpson trial was going down. And Barry Scheck instantly became one of my heroes during that trial.
Well, I love a good cross. I would love to be a part of that. I don't really know that much about the OJ trial.
Oh, just watch it. It's expert.
Okay.
I mean,
I'd be happy to come in and watch.
Sure, you'd be my very first guest for the OJ Simpson.
Oh yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I would really enjoy that.
And I mean, it's so fascinating because the direct examination was about a day and a half. His cross-examination lasted 8.5 days.
Wow. That sounds.
And he was so fucked up by the end.
The objection.
He was so fucked up by the end of 8.5 days of cross-examination that when the prosecution star witness, the criminologist, got off the stand, he shook hands and hugged the defense team.
Wow. That's
how
something.
screwed up he
Very
was.
quickly, when we left,
Yeah.
All right.
441 now admitted into evidence. This was a text you received from the defendant. Is that right?
That's correct.
And the date on that is September 26th.
September 26th, yes.
Is that 2021?
It is.
Yeah, so everyone, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time, which is 2 p.m. UK time, we will be doing our regular weekly O.J. Simpson trial.
That text that the defendant sent to you?
I think I'm in. I think I'm in. Yeah.
You're welcome to join.
I'd love to.
You're a
I'll be
fan
there.
favorite now officially.
Only have a couple
Oh
more
my God!
questions.
Yay!
Before
I'm so happy.
get to the end, one question I wanted to ask you was, what was the defendant's cell phone usage like?
He was always on his phone, always on his cell phone, always on his office phone. He would quit one conversation and grab another. Sometimes he would have both phones to his ear.
Would it be unusual for the defendant to go anywhere without a cell phone with him?
Absolutely.
I want to play for you what's been admitted to evidence as States 297. I have this input, please.
Oh, I'm joining. I'm coming.
Crystal, you didn't miss OJ last week. We didn't do it because of this fucking waste of time.
Maybe she meant like, oh, I missed him. I missed talking about that.
Quit, Cash.
Oh, that's the dogtail video.
Hey, he's got verses now. Hey, Mama.
You're gonna ask her to identify his voice.
This is a chicken.
Do you recognize any voices in that video?
I do. I hear 3 voices.
And tell me who you hear.
They're all
I
in
hear
my
Paul
head.
Murdaugh, Maggie Murdaugh, and Elliot Murdaugh.
Okay.
How sure are you?
I'm 100% sure.
Can I have the Elmo one more time, please?
I'm sorry.
She's not talking to you, idiot. She's talking to the.
Going back to states 441. Can you read just that one sentence starting?
No, this isn't being covered in Korean news. Not at all. I don't give a shit.
The worst part is knowing I did the most damage to those I love the most.
I'm sorry, what? What was that line?
I'm sorry that I did the most damage to the ones I love the most.
Context? Who said that?
He said that in some context or another. I don't know.
I'd like to know what she's quoting that from.
Good morning.
I probably missed that.
Go get her. Go get her, defense.
Ms. Griswold, were you hired by Alec to work at the law firm?
I was hired by the firm, but he was in one of the meetings and it was my understanding that I was going to be working for him.
Right. And so you interviewed with him?
I did.
And you've been working, you worked with him for?
About 9 years.
9 years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. 1 second left.
I'm not pro defense. I'm pro like fucking prove the allegations against the guy.
I'm
Chandler?
pro competent lawyer personally.
My understanding
Yeah.
is that you moved back to
And
Hampton
so far, defense is
because
more competent.
you had your father was ill.
My father was ill. Yes, sir.
And then so you moved your family back, you and your husband, and
Right. My husband and my daughter and I moved to be closer to my dad and help my mom with him.
and you got a job working at the law firm. And did you work exclusively for Mr. Alec Murdaugh?
Yes. I mean, there was other attorneys that I might do some work for here and there, but primarily Elliot was who my attorney was.
And if you needed to take time off for personal matters, would you just have to run it by Alec?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And he put family first at work, did he not?
Most of the time, yes.
And he encouraged you to put your family first.
Absolutely.
And I think your husband had a heart attack. He was in the hospital for quite some time.
Yes, for 5 weeks before he ultimately passed away.
Oh, geez.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
That's
But
terrible.
Alec encouraged you to do all you needed to do to care for him and don't worry about work. Isn't that right?
Yes, he did.
And you didn't miss a paycheck.
And now, see, it's totally possible that his paralegal and everyone in his firm says,
it was
yes,
hit or
he
miss.
stole from
I
us, but we
cared
don't
about
think
him.
he murdered his
I
family.
respected him. I loved him. You know, you can't be that close and work with somebody without having, developing feelings for them and their family members.
I've worked at my firm for 27 years,
but
and I don't give a shit about most of
It was
them.
hard to work for him sometimes. He was
Just kidding, if any of
he
you
was a
ever
bit
watched
erratic,
this.
and yeah,
Does he mean it or does he
all the
not?
respect and love I had for him, it was still very difficult to work for him.
I think your description was
Just
he's like a
kidding, everybody.
Tasmanian devil that would come through at the end of the day,
He would.
and he was frenetic.
Yes.
Okay, and
He's not laughing.
but people came to him if they needed something, right?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And so he had a lot of people coming and did he ever say no to anybody's request?
He didn't know the word no.
Right.
So like when his family was screaming, no, don't shoot me. He didn't know what they meant.
Oh, God.
Want to schedule his
Jeff, you're awful.
I'm sorry.
Appointments around.
No, I'm kidding. That was fantastic. I love the dark humor.
Family's commitments, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like if the Buster and Paul had baseball season, he'd be sure to block all that out off his calendar, wouldn't he?
Most of the time. Sometimes he didn't tell us about personal matters or things where they were going until the day of or whatever, and we would have to reschedule stuff. But if it was on the calendar, yes, he was going to be there for anything that the boys had going on.
Translation. He did whatever the fuck he wanted all the
first.
time.
Yes.
His name's on the door. He can do whatever he
I would
wants.
definitely agree with that.
And you got to know Maggie, did
I
you know?
did. Yes, sir.
And she was thoughtful for
Love you, Flux.
you on your birthday and anything you had going on.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think you mentioned the Ferris trial in Columbia. That was in Columbia, wasn't it?
That was, yes, sir.
And you went to the trial, didn't you?
I did.
And you remember Alec going up on a Sunday and he spent the night in the hospital because his dad was going to have surgery the next day?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it seems like it's been a
And
long
then-
time, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Maggie came up on Monday and stayed with him during the trial, right?
I never did see her. Our paths never crossed because I was kind of in work mode, but I know she was there.
Right. And he traveled frequently with Maggie on work trips, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
And he would take his family to conventions and when they would have work.
Well, yay,
As far as
family.
I
We
know,
get to
yes,
go to
sir.
a law convention. I'm
And
sure they
Howard
were
wasn't the type of
excited
guy
about
that
that.
Go off on a guy's trip. His trips were family trips.
I mean, I don't know that without a shadow of a doubt, but I know a lot of his trips were family related, something with him and Maggie.
Okay, so
him
the
and Maggie
defense
and
is
boys
establishing he
and their
doesn't go out to hang
significant
out with the
others.
boys. He takes his family everywhere he
And,
goes. He loves his family, so he wouldn't kill them.
And he was
It's a
real
good
close
strategy.
to Maggie's family too, wasn't he?
Yes, it appeared that they were very close.
And if Mr. Brandstatter's, Maggie's dad, couldn't get in touch with Alec on his cell phone, he would call you and ask, where's Alec?
Yeah, he would call myself or Christy and say, hey, can you get Alec to give me a call? Yeah,
I
And,
understood he was not close
and they
to family.
communicated
Maggie.
quite frequently, didn't
they did.
they? And did you meet Mr. and Ms. Brandstatter?
I didn't meet him until, we had Mr. Randolph he got the, what
Order
was
the
it?
Palmetto?
Yeah, and that's when I met them. That was the first time I'd ever met Maggie's parents.
The, and if Alec was in even a deposition, and if Maggie or Paul or Buster would call, I mean, he would walk out and take the call, wouldn't he?
I never was present with
Reportedly
them.
outfitted with special
I've heard
briefcases that
rumors of
serve as
such,
shields to
but
protect
I was never
Putin
present
and
with
carry
them at
9mm
depositions and
SR1 Vector
mediations.
pistols
Well,
loaded
in
with
the office, if
armor-piercing
he was in a
rounds.
meeting, he would
Okay.
always
yeah.
take their calls, wouldn't he?
Absolutely. Yes.
Never say, oh, gosh, tell her I'd call her back. He'd
No,
take her
he never put off calls with his family. He always talked to them.
Now, you were talking about the night that you learned that Maggie and Paul were murdered.
This is live.
That
You
thought
hated the
when you
yesterday
first got the
shit, so
call
we're
that It was
live.
about Mr. Randolph.
Correct.
And we're talking about Mr. Randolph murder,
That's correct.
Alex and Randy's dad,
Yes, sir.
because it was well known that he had just been put back in the hospital and his condition was not well.
Yeah, it was my understanding that at that point, the family was making arrangements to bring him home and hospice may be involved. And so obviously we were all expecting awful news.
And he, in fact, did die on Thursday, June 10th, I believe.
I believe so too. Yes, sir.
And after that, you said that the whole law firm rallied around not just Alec, but Alec and Randy and their families.
Absolutely.
And that's
And we
what,
rallied around each other because we were scared. We were worried.
right. And then after, well, I guess there was like a tidal wave of media surrounding the law firm at some point in time.
Oh no!
Yes, sir.
And
there was less than 100 people watching
so
yesterday.
y'all had to,
you just hated it.
be careful with comings and goings, and that was kind of scary, I think.
It was. We ended up having to lock the front door because they would just walk in and just overwhelm the receptionist. So it was.
Oh God, really?
It was came in like a daily habit there for a few weeks. So we had to end up locking the door.
And as a result of Maggie and Paul's tragic murder, Alec Murdaugh became front and center of a media spotlight, didn't he?
He did, yes, sir.
And it wasn't, and there were cameras outside the court, outside the office frequently, right?
There were, yes, sir.
There were cameras out at Moselle.
I think so. I didn't go out there, but I'm assuming they probably were.
And all the buzz was about Alec Murdaugh and what happened to Maggie and Paul, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And all the while you were around Alec on occasion, and you noticed his demeanor, and he was grieving greatly, was he not?
He was grieving, and he was also very humble. He had changed dramatically. Afterwards, he was more mellow, and he would come in the mornings, and instead of yelling Christy and Ed and telling us what to do, he would actually come to our desk and say hello and check on us, and we would in turn check on him. So he was very different after the murders.
And he had a hard time working after the murders?
Absolutely, yeah, as you could imagine.
Well, whether he did it or not,
and you're aware
for one reason or another,
his whereabouts, but he spent a lot of time with Maggie and Maggie's parents.
Yeah, he would tell me that he would had weekend plans, and I would hear him on the phone with his in-laws and making plans to meet up for the weekend.
And he stayed in Somerville a good bit with Buster and with Maggie's parents.
As far as I know, yes, sir.
And he and Buster traveled up to the upstate to Lake Huey or something. Are you aware of that?
I remember him saying, the family had property or something up there, his in-laws, and they were all getting
Now, Ms.
together.
Kager, if this is what I'm saying, they can believe he was a shit of a human being for stealing all their money, but not think he's a murderer.
Murder at Moselle.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
I knew that.
And when he was working in Hampton, he was either commuting from Somerville, Edisto, or staying with his brother Randy or something like that.
I knew he was either staying with family or, he was coming back from Somerville or Greenville from being with the in-laws, but that's all I knew.
But he never spent one night more at Moselle.
Not as far as I know, yes, sir.
Now, you were asked questions about Mr. Waters about
so not staying at the hunting lodge where your wife
Ferris matters was the first thing
murdered
from your mind
did it
after murder of Maggie and Paul, right?
Yes, sir.
And that you didn't do any more about that after Maggie and Paul's murder, right?
That's correct.
But I think you also said that you conveyed your concerns to Jeannie Seconder and that she essentially took over.
Yes, when I gave it to her, I knew she told me she would take it from there. And so I know I gave it to her and that was that.
And so there's really nothing more for you to do on the Ferris matter because after you turned it over to Jeannie, right?
Correct.
And then you were in Alec's office one day looking for a file and you stumbled across this canceled check.
Yes, sir.
Nosy
It
bitch.
must have been underneath the file. I wanted in between that and something else. So when I lifted my file, it fluttered to the floor.
I would have got away if it wasn't for you meddling paralegals.
And you felt, I think you talked to this jury about how this whole thing put you in a bad spot. And your daughter said you need to dust your resume off or something like that.
That's
right?
correct. Yes, sir. I was worried. I was hoping I was wrong. I was hoping that my gut feeling was wrong and that what I was looking at was not money being stolen and that he was not doing that. I was hoping I was wrong, but at the same time, I was scared to turn it in because what if they, look into it and it's nothing, there's nothing going on and then, it disturbs the relationship we had working together and, what would I do? Would I be able to stay at the firm after turning him in on something so bad that he could lose his job over it? So I was concerned. I was concerned for my livelihood. I'm a single mom with a teenage daughter.
And nothing happened to your job, right?
No, sir. Nothing happened to my job.
It's just Alec who lost his job, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Yeah.
And you mentioned in what's in the evidence as defendant's exhibit number 441 is a text that you received from Alec, right?
That's correct.
And was it just to you or was it you and
Me and Christy, his other
Christy,
secretary.
the other secretary? And the date is Sunday, September 26th.
To be fair, says why do we keep doing this to ourselves? It reminds me of a bad BADSM King session.
From rehab?
The text I literally
Yes,
sent
as far as I knew, it was
to Chandler was,
rehab. I
"You're
assumed
welcome
it was
to join
probably one of
today's
the
masochism
steps of
tango if you want."
Reaching out to those that you hurt.
And here I am for
you're
some
sorry.
fucking reason.
And Alec was in
Mostly
rehab.
because I enjoy
Yes,
the
sir, as far
company.
as I know, he was.
And I want you to read this to the jury, the whole email, if you don't mind,
Okay.
please.
Sure.
Let's read the email.
Hey, it's Alec. I'm finally feeling a little better each day. I'm over the worst, but still feel like I have the flu. Real weak. I have been worried about y'all, and I'm sorry I didn't get to tell y'all myself. I know both of you been hurt badly by me. I know it sounds hollow, but I am truly sorry. The better I get, the more guilt I have. I have an awful lot to try to make right when I get out of here. The worst part is knowing I did the most damage to those I love the most.
Financially
I'm not real
speaking.
sure how I let myself get where I did. I'm committed to getting better and hope to mend as many relationships as I can. You both are special people and important to me. Please know how sorry I am to have made you part of my misdeeds. I hope you are doing as well as possible. I love you very much. Please tell Cheryl and Haley hello, and I'm sorry. All my love.
Thank you.
Okay, one, his financial trials are now officially fucked. He's officially fucked in the financial trials.
Mr. Griffin asked you about whether or not you were worried about losing your job over these Ferris fees. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then he asked you, the defendant lost his job, right?
That's correct.
After the murders, but before September, the defendant still had his job, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He still had his law license, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
You said in response to defense counsel's question that people came to him if they needed something, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. He was trusted by everybody, and they knew that if they needed something, all they had to do was reach out and he was going to help them.
He was trusted by everybody. Did you trust him?
I trusted him. Yes, sir.
People came to him for anything like all these clients right here?
Yes, sir.
He was a prominent lawyer,
Yes, he was.
one of the most prominent in the region.
Yes.
And all of that came to an end in September 2021 when all of that came out, did it not?
Right. When I found the check, I knew that he had lied to me and that he'd stolen that money.
It all came out September 21. The murders were in June.
Thank you. You may step down.
They confronted him the same day of the murders.
Call your
I'm
next
not. Is that accurate? September 21?
State calls Michael Gunn.
One of the partners came to him that morning and said, "You owe me $790,000 for a fee sharing thing." And apparently
But you found the
that's
check
why he said,
later. Okay.
"Oh my God, they found out one thing I did, so they're going to find out everything. So therefore, I have to kill my wife and son for some reason."
Just
That's
the one son, not the other son.
Yeah, the favorite one at that. Poor Buster.
Poor Buster.
And Buster has been like weirdly emotionless during this whole thing. He must have just completely resigned himself. And that guy's suit is way too fitted.
Ooh.
No, look at his legs. If they show his legs here, it's like everything is. Oh, they're not gonna show his leg. He's like, that's like a way too fitted suit.
Sure. It's Michael Gunn. Last name is spelled Gunn.
Of course it is.
I agree.
Good morning, Mr. Gunn.
Good morning.
Top guy.
Early morning.
Are you the gun that committed these crimes?
From Columbia.
Born and raised?
Oh, grew up in Conway, South Carolina.
Grew up in Conway,
Probe his
South
shell
Carolina.
casings.
Where you work?
Work for Forge Consulting.
And what is Forge Consulting?
Forge Consulting, we are a settlement
Is that
planning
your
firm
cat?
based primarily in
Yeah,
Atlanta.
that's
I
my
run the
cat.
Columbia
So cool.
or South
Sorry.
Carolina office.
No,
and we work
it's
with people,
cute.
plaintiffs and plaintiffs' attorneys to help them really try to take the settlements that have been recovered for them and try to make them make these settlements last a long time. These people normally have been in catastrophic injuries or wrongful death of a loved one.
So your company works with law firms who represent people who've been hurt, and if they get a little bit of money to make them whole, you can help make that money last a longer time. Is that an accurate summary of what you just described?
Yes, sir, and that's the goal.
All right. When did you first start working for Forge Consulting, or do you work for Forge Consulting, or did you found it?
I'm one of the principals in Forge Consulting.
This is
We
the real
started in
Forge Consulting,
2003.
not the
I've been there since
forged Forge
2005.
Consulting.
And what is your actual?
The name is
You said you're a
comical.
principal. What is your actual title at Forge Consulting?
I'll be a principal in settlement consulting.
And so, do you work
That's
directly
cute.
with the attorneys yourself in arranging some of these settlements and structures and things of that nature?
Yes, sir, I do.
So, if you could, what exactly is a structured settlement in a summary form?
Sure, kind of a primer on it. Essentially, a structured settlement is when it's only available to those who've been, first of all, to those who've been injured or involved in a wrongful death or workers' compensation. It's really a method for them to try and save money. And what I mean by that is when they get the settlement, they have an opportunity to put some of that money into almost like an annuity. And that annuity would pay them over time, much like a paycheck, because a lot of these folks have lost their jobs, they've lost a loved one, or they have bills to pay. And so by doing that, it allows them to receive that money, but not only do they receive the funds, they do receive them tax-free from the federal government.
Totally tax-free.
Totally tax-free with interest.
Someone hurt me so I can get a settlement so I can get some tax-free money.
Now, who actually
Yes,
funds
Corey, this is live.
these annuities that ultimately
Always
get
run in
paid
front of a
out
bus
to
or something.
those who've been hurt?
See you
Sure.
later.
Well, generally speaking, the annuities are funded by the insurance company that's paying the claim or the defendant themselves. That's generally speaking.
And when they pay that claim, where does that money go in order to fund the annuity? Does it go to Forge Consulting?
The only way it would go to Forge Consulting is if the check was made payable to that insurance company, and then we would forward the check on to that insurance company.
Dude's got a
So in that
pocket
instance,
square.
you wouldn't actually be really taking
It's
the
a
money.
little,
You'd just be
I want it.
stuffing it in an
We'd be a
envelope.
mail
and
carrier.
That's my
We'd just be a
OCD
mail
going.
carrier. Correct.
And I apologize. We're both speaking pretty quickly here. Madam
Not a
Court
great
Reporter,
No,
can
you're
only
not.
record one of us at a time. So if I'm asking a question, try and let me complete it and then answer
No problem.
thereafter.
Neither of you are speaking quickly.
So to clarify, the only instance where you would get any money is if the check is made out to an insurance company, you stuff it in another envelope and send it on its way.
That's correct.
But ultimately, the money comes from the insurance company to whoever's funding this annuity. Is that correct?
Generally speaking, yes.
And the people funding this annuity would be another insurance company or some other firm of that nature. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So that would be the structuring of monies awarded in a lawsuit to the person hurt. What about monies awarded to
You're
the
sideways,
lawyer in a
Chandler.
lawsuit? What about an attorney's fees? Can those be structured?
They can be.
All right. And how does that process work?
It's very, very similar process. It's then a similar outcome. The difference is the attorneys would be deferring it, but when they receive the funds, they would have to pay the tax at that time. But it is a way to defer the taxes like that. But it's the same.
Bye, Chandler.
same,
Come back soon.
Scenario. The money would have to come from the defendant and/or its insurance carrier, and there would also have to be language included in settlement documents, et cetera.
But it couldn't come directly to the attorney, could it?
No, sir. That would be constructive receipt, and the IRS would consider that taxable income.
Constructive receipt, and they would consider it taxable income. So Can you explain that just a little bit more for me?
Well, if they receive the money, then the IRS is going to consider that taxable at the time it hits their account. And therefore, undoing that is going to be quite a bit of a problem.
And so then they would get taxed on all of that money, correct?
That is correct.
As opposed to just the amount of money that they wanted to get that year.
That is correct.
And you indicated that it would be deferred taxation. So to use an example,
Yeah, it's not
let's say I
tax-free, it's
represent
deferred
somebody
taxation.
on a
That's
big
a little
suit
different.
And get $1 million in
Welcome back.
attorney's fees.
You're right side up.
Sorry about
If I were
that.
to
Here I am.
structure it, I
Went a little
could have that
flat
stretched
roasted
out over 10 years, $100,000 a year. And then, am I hearing it correctly? I wouldn't get taxed on $1 million all at once. I would get taxed on that $100,000 a year each year for those next 10
That's
years.
what I'm
Is
saying.
that a good
Or
way
said
of
an
describing
hour
it?
ago.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And as a result, pay less in taxes.
That's the goal.
Are you familiar with an individual by the name of Richard Alexander Murdaugh?
I am.
Do you see him in the courtroom here today?
I do.
Who?
Can you
What?
point him
No.
out for me?
Wearing a checked shirt and a blue jacket up here.
Let the record show that he identified Mr. Murdaugh. When did you first meet Mr. Murdaugh?
Probably 20 years ago, 20, give or take a few years, 20 years ago. Probably at a convention or a continuing education seminar, since our primary market are plaintiffs' attorneys.
CLE.
And what was your
the continuing
first
legal
impression, Mr.
education?
Very jovial, friendly.
God.
Never met a stranger. Just a generally nice guy.
Did you have occasion to work with Mr. Murdaugh more going forward from that point in time?
I did, as generally speaking, as we get to know our clients, a lot of times friendships get born out of that, and you get more comfortable dealing with them. And so yes, I worked with his firm a great deal. Did a lot of work with his firm. I probably actively would work. I've worked probably 5 cases with Mr. Murdaugh.
Now, in terms of those at his firm,
When he was
did
a
you work
huge
with Alec,
rainmaker. He
on
settled
a lot of
half of the
cases,
cases
or
in the
relatively
county.
few cases compared to his partners.
If you compare it to his partners, relatively few.
So most of the time, you were working with the other folks at PMPED, but Alec maybe just a handful of times. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did Alec hold any other positions other than his role at the law firm that caused you two to work with one another
Sure.
frequently?
Sure. At one time, he was the president of the Association for Justice.
All right, ladies,
which is,
smash or pass, or guys,
voluntary
if that's what
organization
you're
of
into.
plaintiffs' attorneys. And so we'd be very closely
Indigo
together
likes
at
the nerdy white
trial lawyer
guys.
events and things of that nature. CLEs.
And is there a shorthand for that organization that used to be applied to it? The
SCAJ.
SCAJ. As part of your professional relationship with Alec, what sorts of things would y'all do together?
Again, usually these would be at events. It was never really a one-off. It was usually events. Golf, dinner, lunch, things like that. Just, things that you would do. Things that you would do when you're at a Hilton Head.
About how many times would you say you golf together?
I'd probably say.
It does
we do
happen where
around
people can't
15.
identify the defendant in court. It has happened before.
And you'd go have dinner, maybe some drinks together at the conference, correct?
Not every year, but we would see each other. Dinner was probably few and far
Did you have
between.
Fireball and hunt hogs?
Did you ever go hang out with Mr. Murdaugh
That's a good
at
question.
Moselle or any of his other properties?
No, sir.
Did he ever come and hang out with you in Columbia for dinner or drinks or anything like that?
It would be business related.
Did you ever go to any sporting events with him, like a Gamecocks football game or anything like that?
I never went with him. I may have seen him there, but never went with him. No.
Gamecocks?
Gamecock.
A lot of folks in the stadium at Williams Price on game day.
Okay.
Depending on the season.
Is that a team? I think I saw that somewhere.
Sounds like a local AAA baseball team or something.
Yeah.
Did Mr. Murdaugh ever meet you in Columbia and deliver some checks to you and tell you, hey, these are for the clients for structures or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Did you ever meet with them halfway between Columbia and Hampton and get checks?
Indigo.
From
Absolutely not.
Settle
Did you ever
down
call
there,
them and
lady.
say, hey, can you bring those checks to me so that we can finance this?
Absolutely not.
And would forge under any circumstances accept client money checks personally in order to fund an annuity for them?
No, sir.
Like they're in whatever. Okay, like the football team is called the Gamecocks.
Or saw or reviewed an instrument made out to forge, and it said in the memo line, money for client or something to that effect. Would that instrument be legit?
Well, it would be returned to the person that sent it to us with an explanation as to why we could not take it.
You would not take it?
No, we would not take it.
He does have a nice voice.
In working with Mr. MURDAUGH, did you ever discuss options with him about how to structure fees for his clients?
Generally speaking, we have those conversations with attorneys, and I do remember he inquired about it, kind of went through what
the other USC.
do, how you would need to do
Yeah,
it,
I know USC
how
is
the process in which
University
it's
of
done.
Southern California.
So yes.
So did you explain to him some of the things that we've explained to these folks from around the county here today?
It's the same canned elevator speech I give to everyone. Just, this is how the mechanics of how it works.
Were there any specific cases that he came to you and asked you about whether you could set up a structure?
I don't recall if there was a specific case. I do remember there was a case where we sent some options over one time and nothing ever came to fruition. It was just, here's what you can do.
Do you recall the name Dion Martin?
I do recall the name Dion Martin.
What, if anything, do you recall about Dion Martin? Was that one of Alex's cases?
It was.
Joseph Dean Morgan.
What I recall about that
it's
case
Jeffrey
is that
Dean
I got a
Morgan.
signed
And he's
option
not
from
Supernatural, Dad. He's
plaintiff's counsel
Negan.
signed by Mr. Dion
Supernatural
Martin
was like
with
a
some
billion years
Martin
ago. He's Negan
saying
now.
he wanted to set
Get it
aside
right.
X amount of dollars. I'm not really sure exactly what that amount was.
He's Negan now.
And he wanted to do it to an annuity. And so annuities, like anything, it's kind of based off of stock market and whatnot, so they can kind of go up and down. So there's a time window in which you are able to purchase that. If not, the rate may go up, the rate may go down. And so I consistently sent emails to Mr. Murdough as well as his paralegal, Annette Griswold. I would say at least 4, maybe 5 emails saying, hey, this is going to expire. This is going to expire if you don't fund this now. And after getting no response after multiple weeks, we just closed our file.
So you did open a file for Mr. Martin, correct?
We open a file for every case, yes.
For every case, and I want to drill onto that a little bit. What prompts you to open a file?
Well,
They
part of
become
it
your
is so that
client.
we can remember if the attorney calls us and says, hey, I've got a case I'm about to start working on, or we got it, and they don't give us any information because they might be in the car, we can say, okay, this is the John Smith case, and I've got that tied to an attorney. And so that's how we do that.
So if you get so much as a phone call saying, I want to talk to you about so-and-so, you make a file,
That is correct.
even if it's just one conversation.
I always ask for a name.
Do you ask for any other information?
I ask for a great deal of information, but oftentimes that takes a little while to get. But the name is what I need first.
Are you aware of a boat collision that occurred in early of 2019 in relation to Mr. Murdaugh or his family?
I'm aware.
And are you aware of generally any litigation that resulted from that case?
I'm aware.
After that boat crash and that litigation began, did you have any further conversations with Mr. Murdaugh about structuring any fees that he might earn?
We had general conversations, generic conversations, but we never had any in-depth conversations.
He never asked any specifics beyond the general canned speech?
It was, this is what you can do and this is what you can't do.
Did he ever bring you any fees and say, hey, I would like to structure these or anything to that effect?
No, sir.
He has a nice voice. I do like his voice.
He has a nice way of speaking. But the hair is
Do you
not.
recall
shaved.
in and around September of 2021?
Hey,
Receiving a
Corn
phone
Poke,
call
how about
from
not encouraging
Nico.
people to leave my stream
What
and go to someone
generally,
else's? I'm struggling
tell
as
us a
it
little
is.
bit about that.
Sure.
Do
Mr.
it.
Cope called me,
Do it.
asked if he could trust me. Well, asked if he could trust my office as much as he trusted me. Let me rephrase that. And said, I'd like to give you a name of some cases, and could you tell me what y'all have done for those clients? He gave me probably 10 to 12 names. I remember I was standing in my driveway, so I'm furiously writing down these names, hoping I could read my own handwriting. And I got back with Mr. Cope and told him I didn't have a file open on any of these people.
None of them?
Not a one.
Not a single name that he provided to you?
No, sir.
Not a
Did they
one.
follow up with you and provide you any additional names?
They did. The next day, he called me again, gave me another list of names, went through that list. The only name that stood out was Dion Martin that I referenced earlier.
Did they ask you about where Forge Consulting did its banking?
They asked me if we banked at Bank of America, and I told them we had not for the last 4 years.
Was it the last 4 years, or was it a little bit longer than that?
It was 4 to 5 years, somewhere in that range.
I jumped ahead a little bit. You are generally aware of the events of June 7th, 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
When did you first become aware of the murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh?
Probably early morning, on June 8th, probably 5:36 in the morning. I got a couple of missed phone calls.
What did you do after learning of the murders?
Other than being stunned by it all, I let my wife know, called a few other people. I let my business partners know.
Did you reach out to anybody in relation to Mr. Murdaugh or Mr. Murdaugh himself?
I did reach out to one or two of his law partners just to express my condolences, and obviously asked, hope it wasn't true, but that was confirmed. And then I waited a day and reached out to Mr. Murdaugh and just let him know we were thinking of him, didn't have the words for what to say.
Had you ever met Paul or Maggie?
I have.
Did you know Paul very well?
I didn't know Paul very well. I knew of him, but I didn't know him very well.
How well did you know Maggie?
I knew Maggie, pretty well. She would oftentimes, I believe when Buster was in school in Columbia, she would text me and ask me where he could get his hair cut and where he could get his pants hemmed and things like that. And I was kind of like her local Google. So, it was funny because I'd always respond to her.
Her local Google? That's kind of cute.
You're in Columbia, Buster's in Columbia, she's in Hampton, and so she's texting you with questions.
Absolutely.
Did you attend the funeral for Paul and Maggie?
I did.
Did you see Alec there?
I did.
Did he say anything to you?
Not at the funeral, but after.
Did you go to a wake afterwards?
I did.
Did he say anything to you at the wake?
He told me how much Maggie had loved me and my wife and our family.
Between that wake and September of 2021, did you see the defendant, Mr. Murdaugh, on any other occasions?
I saw him in Hilton Head in August. That was the only time I saw him.
Where did you see him?
At the Skage Conference in Hilton Head Island, the annual convention. That's all attorneys and vendors and whatnot attend.
At the lawyers' convention in
Yes.
Hilton Head?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Oh. Was anybody with him?
His brother, John Marvin, was with him primarily, but others were around, law firm, members of the firm.
What was the scope of your interactions with Mr. Murdaugh at the convention?
We hung out a little bit or said, exchanged pleasantries, hugs, still, couldn't believe what had happened. And we did go to dinner. I went to dinner with him, his brother, and the majority, I don't want to count them off, of his law firm on, I believe it was Saturday evening.
Now, we've talked about Forge Consulting. Are there any subsidiaries of Forge Consulting or alternative names or other companies associated with Forge?
We do have two other companies that are under the Forge umbrella. One is Advocacy Trust, which is a trust company, and the other one is Advocacy Wealth Management, which manages, it's a veteran SEC-related wealth management firm.
Do you have any stumbling over my own tongue. Do you have any subsidiaries that are just named Forge?
No, sir, we do not.
Did you ever tell Mr. Murdaugh that he could use the name of Forge Consulting or Forge for his own purposes?
Absolutely not.
Prior to September of 2021, did you have any knowledge that Mr. Murdaugh was using the name of Forge for his own purposes?
No, sir.
They would have had a problem with it if they would have known.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Back my own reports and all.
Yeah, it's not looking good for him for the financial stuff.
Hey, he's fucked. Like
He's,
hard.
he's seriously fucked. I mean, that email, like my misdeeds, it's speculative, but there's a lot of fucking evidence against him. This is bad. This is not going to be good for him. Mm-mm.
But how does this prove that this was motive? And all of this is to not to prove he committed the murders, not to prove he had the propensity to commit the murders. This is all to prove he had motive to kill his wife and child. How the fuck does this prove he has motive to kill his wife and child?
Jeff, can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
It doesn't.
Seriously. I know. God.
At this point, I'm just along for the ride. I am not, like, the defense is doing really great, and prosecution is not going to prove anything. They're floundering out there. I mean, they're drowning. This is a shit show.
All right, everybody stretch, do the hokey pokey, do whatever it is. And I'm still trying to figure out what particular role, like, weird dude here is. Is he like the IT guy? Because he just like seems to be lurking, just sitting there in a chair, staring at people all day.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not.
I think he might be the IT guy.
Maybe.
I don't know. So are you convinced he killed his family now after all that riveting testimony?
I'm really not. I mean, honestly, the more the testimony goes on, the less I believe he actually did it. And I really thought he was guilty for a minute there, but it's not coming together for me. It's just
the
math ain't math.
Document. It's already in evidence of State's Exhibit 335.
You?
Nope.
This document says it's a Bank of America statement. Is this an account statement from a Forge Consulting account?
No, sir, it is not.
I don't know. Maybe they'll convince us by year 6 by the time this trial's fucking over. I mean, it's going to take forever.
No. Do I think he did it? Probably. Do I think they proved it? Not a fucking chance.
It doesn't matter whether he killed him or not. It matters whether they can prove he killed him,
Richard A.
which they
Murdaugh,
can't.
Sole Prop, DBA, Forge. That's not one of your accounts?
No, sir.
The truth doesn't matter at this point. It's the evidence, and the evidence sucks. The evidence is shit. The evidence doesn't matter. It's not. It's
By
not.
the defense.
Well, shit, that was a short redirect. What the
Yeah, it
fuck?
was very short.
Okay.
I blinked and I missed it.
I didn't even hear what the one question was.
God damn it! I was talking over them. Sorry, my fault.
You had some formal positions with the South Carolina Association.
Oh, wait, that wasn't a redirect. That was just the
Yes, sir.
indirect.
What
Whatever.
were those?
It's government affairs.
I don't know what the
work
fuck's
now.
going on anymore. I don't care.
On
I'm
the
reading
contract
chat.
basis?
As an employee and as a contract.
And you can't
At
even
one
see
point
the
in
chat,
time,
so
Alec Murdaugh was the president of the South Carolina SCAJ.
I'm sure it's fun today.
Yes, sir, he was.
And were you employed at the time or contract lobbyist?
Yes, sir, I was employed at the time, yes, sir.
And
just a second.
part of his duties, well, I guess he was on the board for a period of time as well, right?
That's correct, yes, sir.
And the SCAJ board and the president would meet in Columbia quarterly, monthly, how often?
They would meet in Columbia probably twice a year. They normally met at the convention spots or the CLE spots, and then one was always by telephone. But usually the president was, even the telephone call, the president would come to Columbia.
And when he would come to Columbia, you remember Maggie would come with him and spend the night on those business trips?
Sometimes, yeah. I don't know specifically for that for the Skage stuff, but I do. Maggie spend the night in Columbia, yes.
But you saw them traveling together in Columbia I mean, you said you would see him in Columbia on business reasons. Was the business reasons his membership on the board and then?
I would say, generally speaking, most of the time when I would see him, it would be because of that. Yes, sir.
And then he and Maggie came to you and your wife's wedding in New York, right?
They did.
And my understanding is the big day came on the day of a big blizzard.
3 feet of snow. Yes, sir.
And so you had to delay the wedding a day, right?
We did.
And you got to spend a lot more time with Maggie and Alec.
And all the other guests. Yes, sir.
Right. And so, at that point in time, your wife became friends with Maggie and y'all became pretty good social friends?
I think so. I mean, we still didn't really hang out much after the wedding other than professional settings.
It's a small world after all.
Towns, but yeah, we keep in touch, no doubt.
And then every year, I think you mentioned, there's an annual convention at Hilton Head of we used to call it trial lawyers, but
I still do too.
Yeah. Of the trial lawyers, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's usually at a hotel. It used to be at the Westin. At Port
Your
Royal,
favorite
I think.
people,
Yes,
Chandler.
Maybe they moved it.
Licensee says, Scory,
Marriott.
the Murdaugh Trial podcast said there were traces of brain juices on his clothes.
And there would be seminars, during the day, and then there'd be socializing in the evenings.
Yes, sir.
And it was a family event.
Very much so.
And Alec would bring Maggie and Paul and Buster
every time.
And inaccurate.
And you got to see him
Irresponsible.
interact with
I'm sorry.
his entire family.
I did.
And he was a family man, wasn't he?
By all accounts, yes, sir.
I mean, lots of family men kill their families.
And you went to
True.
Maggie and Paul's funeral.
Yes, sir, I did.
And then after the funeral, you went out to Moselle.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure, what was Alec's demeanor?
He was a broken man. You could tell. He was very upset.
Okay.
He was he was very upset.
Jessica
And then
Reloaded
you
in the
saw him,
chat. What's up, Jessica? Hello,
A few
hello.
months
Legal
later
License.
at that convention at Hilton Head.
Yes, sir, I did.
And you said he was with his brother, John Marvin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is Russell
And
Crowe on the
Buster was there,
stand.
too.
He works for
I
the
believe that's
real
correct, yes, sir.
Forge,
And John
not
Marvin's
the
not a
fake,
lawyer,
not the
right?
Forge
He's
Forge.
not.
He works for the
Is it
real
unusual
Forge.
for John Marvin to come to the lawyer convention?
I had not seen him before, no, at the convention, no.
Right. He was there supporting his brother?
I believe so, yes.
And people were trying to lift Alec's spirits up and support him during that period of time.
I think so, yes, sir.
1 second, man.
1 second, it's over. Get back and start testifying. All right, have you been convinced yet?
Thank you, sir.
Did he flip you, Chandler? Are you flipped?
Not with this witness, no. I mean,
Call your next witness.
I just feel like we're doing a trial within a trial, and it's like, this is not the time for this. These are not the counts that we are, deciding upon. It's irrelevant. It is so irrelevant. I mean, it's interesting, but it's irrelevant, goddammit.
You
I'm
are
just gonna make a
absolutely
trial.
correct.
I'm
We are
resentful
doing a
because it's gonna make it
trial
go on
within a
longer
trial.
and longer and longer, and it's just. I'd like to get
Oh,
through
you're
this
absolutely
trial
correct.
so we can get to the more interesting trial. You?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you are absolutely correct. This is just
about to give will be the truth, the whole
this
truth,
guy's
and
got to stick
nothing
up
but
his
the truth, so
ass.
help you God.
Jesus.
Thank you. If you'll
I mean,
have a
I'm
seat
at
on
the
the
point where I'm
stand.
like, I'm kind of figuring out, the wardrobe choices of the witnesses. I'm focusing on everything else.
Just that microphone there, and spell your last name.
He's
for
got
the
that
record.
southern,
H-U-D,
South Carolina badonkadonk going on there.
Oh, I didn't see that. Damn it.
Agent Hudak, how are you doing?
I didn't either.
Where are you employed?
South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, also known as SLED.
All right, and what is your duties there?
I'm a
Another
special
SLED
agent in computer crimes.
All right, and just briefly,
Okay, Jeff,
what do
smash
your
or pass?
duties entail?
With this guy.
Conduct forensic examinations, cell phones, computers, vehicle infotainment modules, any sort of electronic device that can hold evidence. Also, I'm an evidence custodian.
I'll answer later after I see him turn around when he gets up.
Hopefully it'll be soon. All right.
Yeah, hopefully this won't be a long witness. I don't know what this guy. is testifying about.
I have the jury go to the jury room for a recess.
What? Oh, so we've got some objections going. That's what the mute was all about.
Okay.
Jeff, any master and commander references with Russell Crowe? Oh, absolutely. I always, this is a thing. The master and commander references. I always said that they should make a porno called Master and Command Me, the Far Side of the Strap-On.
That's a good one. You know, I actually have like a secret hobby where I come up with hilarious fake porn titles.
Yeah. No, that's like my favorite one.
Wait, say it
like
again.
me and
Master and Command Me?
Master and Command Me, the Far Side of the Strap-On.
Nice.
Me and my brother got really fucking drunk one night, and I just kind of spewed that, and he thought it was the funniest
Ladies
thing
and
he ever
gentlemen,
heard.
we have to evacuate the building.
Oh my God! Evacuate
at
the
this
building.
time, so we'll be in recess until we discover what's going on.
Holy shit! Holy crap! That's a thing.
That's weird. Is there like a bomb threat? This is crazy.
We'll couple this with a lunch break until 2:30.
Everybody.
Holy shit! That's a thing.
That's wow. Okay.
Wow.
Christ. I mean.
Okay.
What do you do with that?
You go to lunch, I guess.
I guess you go have you go to what's that restaurant that everybody goes to?
Oh, there's that one that got Court TV's hanging out. There's that Court TV play. Like all the Court TV people are like hunkered down in some restaurant, like some barbecue joint.
I wanted to look up the menu. I was really curious. Apparently the food's really good.
It must be Court TV's hanging out there.
So what?
Wow.
Now that's weird. Has that ever happened before?
It happened in the Brooks trial, I believe.
And what was
But
the
yeah,
explanation for it then?
someone made a bomb threat.
Yeah.
I believe, if memory serves me correctly. So he said they were going to go till 2:30. That's like 2 hours from now. So got a 2-hour lunch lined up. Awesome.
Okay.
Marv White says still broken. Yeah, the chats are still broken. Please keep sending more to test to make sure they're still working. Law, your guest sounds better today. Different microphone?
Not a different mic. I am streaming using my iPhone right now, and so I don't know what happened yesterday, but same mic, better quality, happy coincidence, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's just a thing. StreamYard really, really hates phones working together with Bluetooth headsets and mics. And you just hit the lottery today, so congrats.
I'm glad that it's working.
It's perfect. Benjamin Lewis is behind because talking with fam. Love you, Jeff. Well, love you too, Benjamin. Thanks. Aww. And by the way, your super chat didn't work. I didn't get it. Cough, cough, cough.
Yeah, you might want to do that again.
Aussie Overlord says, just checking in to see if the boredom has got to you yet. Funds for a morning coffee on me. Thanks, okay, Aussie Overlord. Aussie Overlord is streaming another trial, and I don't know if you're stream sniping me, but yeah, there's just been some sort of event happen in the courtroom that's making us evacuate the courtroom for the next 2 hours.
It's the most exciting thing that's happened like all trial practically.
And you're not fucking lying is the problem with that. Yeah, the courthouse is being evacuated. I wish you were lying, but yeah.
We don't know what is happening. I'm very curious. I mean,
it probably is a bomb threat or some stupid shit like that.
Maybe state called it in because they know that they are.
Yeah, it's the
state
up
doing it. They're just like, we need a break from this. We need to regroup.
Fat Jack's restaurant. Yeah, that's it.
Fat Jack's.
It happened in the Brooks and Depp and Heard faux Amber Alert tornado warning. Yeah,
Oh,
no, that's what it was.
That was really funny.
That's what it was. It was the Brooks Depp trial, the tornado warning. That's right.
The Amber Alert was comedically on point. It was a little on the nose, but it was very, very funny.
Yeah, so yeah, it was Fat Jack's restaurant. That's where all the law and crime. That's where all the court TV people are hanging out due to their breaks. Wow.
I'm happy for the restaurant. They're probably getting a lot of business.
Yeah, seriously. Let's see how we're doing.
Well, fuck us and fuck this whole thing.
Right. And we're all caught up on super chats, and this is a great place to just kind of give our final thoughts here for the next few minutes and bid goodbye to this fucking trial until the prosecution rests and the defense takes over. Because unless there's some major incident, like reviews and things are going to be the way to go. This is just shit. You
So
know,
they're coming back in 2 hours?
it's at 2 hours, and I don't plan on being here any longer than I have to.
Yeah, I hear that.
Well, now again, what? Okay, as long as we're making Depp Heard references, what, if anything, did you learn today that has to do with the murders, that ties this fucking testimony to the goddamn murders?
Well, I learned what res juste means. I think I looked it up on my laptop because I was bored while we were streaming. So I mean, I think I know what it means. I was kind of half listening, so it's not good to multitask. No, I learned nothing. I learned absolutely nothing. We learned that he was stealing money. We learned that he felt kind of sorry about it. I mean, I liked the paralegal witness, but she doesn't really do anything for State's case whatsoever. And
yeah, I mean, she just dropped some serious bombs on the financial crimes.
She's going to be great in the financial trial, but we're not in the financial trial, so I just don't know what they're doing.
That's it. Her testimony was introduced for the sole purpose of proving he had motive to kill his loving wife and his favorite son.
I think it's apparent that he was stealing money. That doesn't put two guns in his hand on, the evening of June 7th, 2021.
Not at all.
It just doesn't.
Two separate guns, yeah.
I'm waiting for a surprise witness who was like filming something stupid across the street or something and like caught him in the blue rain slicker with blood all over it. Like I mean, it's not going to happen.
Just like walking down the street with like two gun smoking barrels and blood all like soaked down him, like that kind of a thing. But I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't really like the way the prosecution has structured their witness schedule. I don't understand how they've prepped their witnesses. It seems like sometimes they're very hostile to their witnesses. That doesn't make any sense. No, this isn't the financial trial. Good question. Is it or isn't it? I feel like they're trying to fit in all the different trials, and it's just like, we've got 106 charges for this man. Are we going to go through all of them? Because it feels like it's taking that long that we're dragging through. It's like we're going through all of this shit right now. Shouldn't be this way. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I don't either. I don't know.
Well, what do you think of the judge? Why is the judge letting this in? Like, what do you think of that?
He's a very permissive judge, and he said from the very beginning that he tends to err on the side of allowing things rather than excluding things.
Yeah.
But he has literally allowed everything in. Everything. And I mean, a lot of people say that's a good thing. And that's what they do here in Korea. In the Korean legal practice, like anything you want to put in. And then the judge will decide how much weight to give that. And I mean, there are juries in Korea theoretically, but I've never seen a jury trial. They're a relatively new addition to the Korean jurisprudence system. But literally every trial I've never heard of a trial going to a jury here in Korea other than like the test cases to see how jurors would work. So it's pretty much just all the judges, a panel of judges, one judge or a panel of three will decide cases, and anything you want to put in is allowable, and the judge will decide how much weight to give it. AA Ron says he's a ginger. He did it for sure. Well, we know that, but the state still has to prove it. We know he has no soul. He's a ginger.
You should talk to my friend Legally Dirty Blonde. She also has a bit of an opinion on that particular subject.
All my family are gingers. And so whoever my real father is, he wasn't a ginger apparently. I look so nothing like the rest of my family. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
So that's the running joke in my family. Probably not. I mean, my father hasn't heard the joke, obviously, but between my siblings and me,
the milkman's son.
It would explain a lot. Let me say that.
Well, at least you can have a sense of humor about it. I think self-deprecation is a really good quality to have.
Yeah. So I'm just like, that's like my next thing is to next time I go on vacation to surreptitiously get a couple of hair samples or whatever and do the 21andMe thing or whatever it is.
23andMe, yeah.
23andMe.
You don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Trust me, I've had bad experience.
For Forever 21, that's the clothing store, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Oh God. So yeah, this is it, people. We are fucking done with this trial. I'm pulling the ripcord. We are out of this shitty thing. I'll be a guest. I'll try to get Chandler on wherever I'm guest. If anybody ever invites me to be a guest, I'll try to get Chandler on. Yeah, so that she can get some exposure. But we are fucking done with this until the prosecution rests. At least we may be done till closing arguments, but
yeah.
I like the idea of being on other people's streams because I can just fuck off whenever I want to. I don't have to stick around for the whole thing.
It's a nice perk, I've got to say. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a good move. I mean, honestly, like I will stay on for as long as you want to, but this is going nowhere, and there's nothing to say about it. There's nothing to, it's just total bullshit.
And Caitlin Williams, one of our viewers, has said, okay. There's two statements. I don't want to bring this up to dox people, so I'll just read it. Okay. Walterboro, South Carolina, Michael E. Gunn, principal and senior settlement consultant for Forge Consulting, LLC, has made the following statement today following his testimony in the murder trial of Alex Murdaugh in Walterboro, South Carolina. Forge Consulting has been a business for over 20 years, building our reputation of professionalism, experience, and integrity. We've built our business on the truth, and that's exactly why we're here today, to tell the truth. I don't know what happened that horrible night in Islandton where Maggie and Paul Murdaugh were murdered, but I do know that Alex Murdaugh used our good name to defraud his clients, his law firm, and countless others. I know that Bank America could have stopped it all there with a single phone call to verify the truth. Unfortunately, that was never made. I wonder how much tragedy could have been avoided if it was. Attorneys for Ford Consulting LLC have said that they are preparing to take legal action in response to the serious harm Alex Murdaugh and Bank of America have done to the financial firm's business reputation and credibility due to Murdaugh's and Bank America's participation in a scheme that allowed Murdaugh to use Ford's brand in order to defraud millions of dollars from his clients and colleagues. That was a mouthful.
Wow. Okay,
so it sounds like
one of those sentences. Or
yes,
wait, no,
go
ahead. What were you going to say?
No, which one?
I wonder how much tragedy could have been prevented if Bank of America had stopped this. Excuse me, that sounds very fucking biased. It sounds like this guy from Forge really feels like there's like, okay, how is he putting together some motive? The financial stuff, like, I'm not seeing it. Is that not a little biased? I feel like it's a little biased.
Oh, it seems like that, yeah.
It's a
That's
heavy
the implication
that the financial stuff, is strongly tied to and directly caused, the tragedies that could have been prevented. Like, excuse me, how do you fucking know that? What evidence did you provide today, sir? What testimony did you bring that actually shows that Mr. Murdaugh killed his family? None. Nothing. You don't have anything. What gives you the authority? I'm sorry. Am I missing something here?
No, they're just gonna sue. They're just gonna sue the shit out of Bank of America, and that was the opening salvo. That was the opening salvo.
Thing to say. I wonder how much tragedy could have been prevented. Like, you don't know what the fuck happened. Nobody does. There's no evidence. There's nothing. We don't know who did it. It could have been a fucking hog getting revenge on this family that like killed his whole family. We don't know.
After getting hopped up on what the fuck is this shit? Fireball.
It was like, I just saw an ad for Fireball whiskey recently and it stuck in my brain. So I'm sorry about that.
No, that was perfect. That was perfect.
Lagavulin.
And there's another tweet from Chanley Painter from Court TV that says it was a bomb threat at the courthouse.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So they got to do the sweep and everything. The only sweep we're doing is the sweep out the damn door.
Let's swerve on out of this bitch. This is
yeah.
We're over.
You can get on with your day and pretend you just take one of those movie showers where you huddle down in a fetal position, fully clothed, and just let the water wash the dirtiness of your soul away.
I just think of David Cross, like Tobias Funke in his jean shorts and Arrested
The
Development.
Never Nudes. The Never Nudes.
There are dozens of us. Dozens.
Oh God. I got nothing else to add. This was a fucking waste of 4 hours of my life.
It was a waste.
3 hours and 38 minutes of my life.
It was a total waste. Absolutely. I completely agree with you.
Yep. we have not advanced a single chess piece towards proving murder up to this point.
Nope.
I shouldn't say it was a complete fucking waste because we got another super chat from Pro AF Farrier. And again, Pro AF Farrier has, and I was so excited. This was, I tell this story every time he super chats. For the liquor fund, after days like this, you will need it. Thank you so much, Pro AF Farrier. And for those who don't know, a farrier is a guy that handles horses' hooves and does horseshoeing. As a country boy from Utah, as I said, I grew up with more cows in my hometown than people. We had lots of horses too. For some reason, horseshoeing videos fascinate the shit out of me.
Never watched.
And if you go to YouTube and just like watch horseshoeing videos and farrier videos and like cow hoof trimming videos, they're super, super cool. And you can get down a serious rabbit hole.
We should be live streaming that. Why are we watching this stupid trial? Like, that sounds more interesting.
It is. It's infinitely more interesting. And I like Pro AF Farrier's channel is one of the ones that I deep dive in when I every few months venture back into that particular rabbit hole. And suddenly one day, one of his super chats, I'm like, holy shit, I was just watching I was like totally fanboying. I was totally watching one of your videos like 30 minutes before I started streaming.
I've gotten like that.
Yeah. Pro AF Farrier, thank you so much. And if you want to, fuck all this stupid pimple popping shit. Just go look at horseshoeing videos and like cow hoof infection videos. Some seriously gross stuff there.
Wow.
Great success as I watch a lot of horseshoeing videos as well. It's a thing. It's a good thing. And Pro AF Farrier has a great channel. And speaking of great channels, Chandler Remington has an amazing, amazing Twitter channel, and you need to go there. And it's Remy, REMYCRH. I keep wanting to say CHR, and I don't know why. But it's REMYCRH. Go there, subscribe to her Twitter, join everything she's got going, and wait for the day when she releases her presence onto the YouTube platform.
It's coming. It's in the works. I'm looking forward to it.
And I'm holding you to your earlier statement. Tomorrow we're doing do you have anything special coming up in the near future that you're going to be tweeting about, looking into, or investigating?
I am definitely going to be on the Manson trial. And I am looking forward to whenever that is going to be in court. I will be there. I will be at the courthouse. So
that's in your neck of the woods, isn't it? Yeah.
What's that?
That's in your neck of the woods.
Oh yeah. No, it's my courthouse. I mean, I've been to that courthouse pretty frequently. So no, I'm looking forward to that. I will definitely be there. I don't know how far in the future that's going to be. I'm going to be covering Courtney Clenny. I'm going to be covering Sarah Boone. And now you've got me onto Taylor Shabusiness.
I forgot to email you. I will email you.
I'm going to spend a lot of time going over your videos because I haven't seen them yet, but I'm pretty sure you covered them thoroughly. So that is a crazy case. Any case where, my general focus is that I am against misandry, and I like raising awareness about domestic violence and domestic abuse, and bringing attention to men who are victims, and how male victims are frequently overlooked by the system and often vilified or even charged in cases where women are actually perpetrators, very similar to the Depp case. And I think Sarah Boone and Courtney Clenny are two very strong examples of, potential convictions for male victims. And so those cases are going to be very interesting to follow. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and Chandler's Twitter is really, really, it's an awesome place to see. She has great tweeting abilities.
Oh,
you would definitely want to go there and sign up to her Twitter account.
I am very honored, and I sincerely appreciate that.
And for me, I've got coming up tomorrow is our regular Thursday OJ Simpson trial. And Chandler, you are invited to it.
I would love to come. I'm going to have to read up a little bit. I might not know as much as either coming in, but I'm looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really enjoying this little interlude. This is great.
The only thing you need to know about that is that Robert Kardashian, the father of the Kardashian clan, was OJ Simpson's lawyer.
Oh, I'm well aware.
That's all you need to know. Occasionally his little skunk stripe shows up in court occasionally.
Yeah. I am I'm familiar with the murder. I'm not familiar with the proceedings. I do know some of the names of the attorneys, and I've forgotten a couple of them. The really curly haired lady. I definitely have to do a
Marcia
little bit
Clark.
of reading.
Well, if you want, you can speed read with the Netflix series about it. There's a Netflix series about the trial, or you can go back and watch like 44 hours of what I've done so far. I've done about 44, 50 hours of this thing so far.
You know, just
Yeah.
I have a little time.
But I will send you a link if you're down, because it's always nice to have someone else here.
I'm down. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm excited.
All right.
It'll be much more interesting than this stupid fucking trial.
Yeah, exactly. And Chandler, so you talked to Colonel Kurtz for the Manson trial?
I have not connected with Colonel Kurtz.
I tried back in the day. She just never got back to me. So it's like, she's like, fuck it. I don't need to talk to this guy. So
she's rather popular. I
Yeah.
appreciate her coverage. She's been very thorough. I am interested in what she has to say. I do follow her on Twitter. I follow a number of Twitter accounts that are in support of Marilyn Manson, and I also support Marilyn Manson, and feel very strongly that that trial is going to expose some interesting behaviors, perhaps by Evan Rachel Wood and co. I'm looking forward to that one. That'll be very interesting to get into.
And great success. As Jeff, you really need to do an O.J. Simpson interview. Great success. I know people that know OJ in Vegas, and when I'm in Vegas in August with the fam, I that would be something I would work on, that I may or may not be actually trying to do. That would be awesome. Cigars with OJ in Vegas. That would be awesome.
That would be something. That would be. I can't remember if it was like Dave Chappelle or there was some comedian who met him, who did a whole stand-up bit about him that was really hilarious. My favorite tidbit about OJ is
Ariadna Grande. I was Ariadna Jacob, but I just call her Ariadna Grande after I made that mistake once.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, like, seriously, guys, my mods are the greatest mods. You guys have been a trooper to stick with me through this bullshit. I don't even want to be here, and I can't imagine why you want to be here. So I deeply appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you,
plural
mods.
y'all. And Chandler, absolutely a pleasure to have you here.
Thank
As
you. It's
always.
been a pleasure to be here. I'm so happy to be a guest. You have a great show. I love your commentary. I agree with a lot of the things that you're saying about this case, and I appreciate being able to suffer through it with somebody who also feels the pain.
Likewise, I mean, this would have been unbearable without you the last couple days. Like, so appreciate it.
Let's do OJ tomorrow as like a palate.
Let's
cleanser.
do it.
It'll be much better, much more interesting for sure.
Absolutely. And this is OJ's tomorrow, Friday. Just kind of do a catch-up stream, hit some other trials that we need some updates on, and just kind of do a chill stream and just kind of hang out. And that'll be Friday night Eastern time, because I got things to do Friday night my time. And hit the like. Oh, we got to do our how did our like and subscribe poll turned out? This is the last thing we'll do here.
Oh, let's find out.
Coming in 4th place, I hit the like and subscribe button because they are approval for your awesome guest. Oh, that should be number 1.
I'm so touched. Thank you. That's really sweet.
But that was only 16% of the vote.
That's
fourth.
That's still a number of people who are.
I expected that. I honestly expected that to be number 1. Coming in 3rd place with 1% more at 17% was I hit the like and subscribe button because they're the only ray of hope I can see. Coming in 3rd place with 21% of the vote was I hit the like and subscribe buttons because they're the only things to like about this. And coming in with 45% of the vote, well in 1st place, I hit the like and subscribe buttons because they're grounds. That's the end of it, folks. We'll pick this trial up again, maybe do some weekend reviews or some shit like that, but I'm not spending another fucking minute in this trial unless the prosecution rests and the defense takes over.
Sounds good to me.
So join Chandler and I tomorrow for OJ Simpson at I kind of like this time frame, like 9 a.m. Eastern. For whenever we go for like 2 hours. So whenever you feel like you want to wake up and join, go ahead.
I'd love to. Yeah, I'll be there.
Mods, thank you so much. Chat, I've got the greatest chat on YouTube, if not the entire internet itself. The Vice Squad rocks. Thank you for those of you that subscribe to the channel during this. Keep coming. Replay crew, there are super likes or like what super thanks or some shit you can do down there. Just click the $sign. Dollar bills, y'all. And on that, we're gonna wrap this thing up. Everybody have a great night. We'll catch you all tomorrow for the O.J. Simpson trial. We continue the cross-examination of Dennis Fung by the inimitable Barry Scheck. Legal Vice is out. Remington, anything you want to say on the way out the door?
Have your pets spayed or neuter. I don't know.
Nice, Bob Barker. We're gone. Bye.